Yashilva.
Okay, so today is more theoretical because you will not be able to do much practical. You will be able to see the screens, but I'm not sure whether you can create it or do some test on the conversion tool. But let's try to understand first. If you have any question, you can interrupt me. I will answer your question. After every slide, I will check with you whether you have any question. So let's start with the paths to SAP BW for HANA. Okay. So we have learned words like upgrade, migration, conversion, but every word has a different meaning. But I have seen that most of the people confuse between upgrade, migration, and conversion, and they use the wrong word at wrong place. So I would like to understand that what is your concept about upgrade, migration, conversion? Let me give you example. Suppose I have a SAP BW system which is on the 7.3. Okay, and now I want to consider the system, so I want to have a new system with the SAP BW 7.5. So am I going to use the word upgrade? Am I going to use the word migration, or am I going to use the word conversion? So you can unmute yourself and answer.
It's upgrade.
Correct. So if you see here, here we are upgrading the application. We are on 7.3 and we want to be on the 7.5. So this is just pure upgrade word. Okay. Now, next thing is I have a system which is BW 7.4 and I want to move to SAP BW for HANA. Sorry for spelling mistake. SAP BW for HANA. Then will it be upgrade? Will it be migration or will it be conversion? What is your guess?
Upgrade only.
Upgrade. Okay. Any other answer?
I thought it is migration.
Okay. Now, so here we want to thank you for giving the wrong answer because I want to clarify this. This is not upgrade. This is not migration. So you have to understand that SAP's first sentence about BW for HANA. SAP's first sentence about B4 HANA is it is not a successor of BW NetWeaver 7.5 or 7.4. It is not a successor, but it is a logical successor. So there are lot of changes in BW for HANA. That is why it is completely redesigned. So when we say completely redesigned, when you want to move from BW NetWeaver 7.3, 4 or 5 to B4 HANA, then we consider it as a conversion, not upgrade or not a migration. Am I clear on this, everyone?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
Shilpa.
and the reasoning is I'm repeating because this concept should get fixed in your mind that here SAP says that before HANA is a logical successor. This implies that before HANA is exclusively redesigned by considering the data as a HANA database. So that is why it is completely redesigned. So we call this movement as a conversion. Okay, now I am on SAP BW 7.4 on Oracle and I want to move to SAP BW 7.4 on HANA. What word I will use? Am I going to say upgrade, migration or conversion?
Migration.
Migration.
Correct. So this is the migration and this migration is nothing but a database migration. Okay, now suppose I have the BW 7.4 on Oracle and I want to just move to the cloud from on-premise to cloud. If I have to go to the cloud, then it's a cloud migration. So here it's a DB migration just. Okay, now if I'm on a BW 7.4 on Oracle and I want to move to SAP BW 7.5 on HANA, which word I will use here for the last option?
It is same migration only.
No,
To
it
migrate.
is upgrade
Upgrade.
because
Okay,
upgrade
it is
plus
migration.
migration. So
Okay.
there are two things here. Upgrade plus migration, because if you see here, my original
Seven.
system is on 7.4. Now I want to move to 7.5. So I'm upgrading my application, as well as I'm moving my database from Oracle to HANA. So it's a upgrade plus DB migration. Are we clear on this? Any
Yes, sure.
question here? Okay, so please use correct words whenever you have the project. Please try to understand from your side. Ask questions to basis colleague that are we just doing upgrade? Are we just doing the upgrade and migration, or we are just doing the DB migration, or we are doing the conversion? Because uh, uh, let me be precise that when we do the solutioning is done. Sometimes customers say we just want to do upgrade. Sometimes customers say that we don't want to upgrade, we just want to do the DB migration because we are already on 7.5. So sometimes they say that no, our version is really low, so we want a solution for upgrade and DB migration as well. So these are the different types of solutioning we do it whenever we consider upgrade, migration, conversion project. Okay, so I hope you all are clear. Can I move to the next slide now? Because now next slide will give a new concept to you.
Yes, please.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. Now here I'm going to spend time on this slide little bit more because it is going to tell you different paths to SAP BW4 HANA. Okay, now consider 4 different scenarios. For example, I'm a customer. I already have SAP BW system. It may be considered right now that it may be on 7.3. So I'm a customer. I have a BW system which is on the 7.3. Then option 1 is in place conversion. Please see, now I am moving to BW4 HANA. So I'm going to use the word conversion. So what is the first option? In place conversion. Okay, so in the system itself, you are going to your system, you are going to convert it to the B4 HANA. Okay, so now what will happen? What SAP says, what are the options available? Now, if my system is SAP BW and 7.3, then I have to first upgrade my system to 7.5. Not just upgrade, I have to do the upgrade as well as powered by SAP HANA. Means if my DB is not HANA, then I have to do the DB migration as well. So whatever the system you have to bring as a first step, you have to bring the system on 7.5 plus DB migration with HANA. So now my system is 7.5 SAP, powered by SAP HANA, or 7.5 on HANA, you can see. So the first step in place migration is your system should be 7.5 and on HANA. Then step number 2. What will happen in the step number 2? You have to install the starter add-on. This starter add-on is nothing but I will explain it's a mode afterwards, but you can just imagine that starter add-on will give you the flexibility to create old type of object or new type of object, or it will restrict you to create the old type of object or at some point of time, whenever it will say that before it's ready, then it will not allow you to create any new things. So there are different types of modes which I will explain afterwards. And then once you have done this functionally, you already on the 7.5 powered by HANA, you have the starter add-on, then your work as a BW consultant is over. Then basis colleague will convert this system to B4 HANA by using some tool. So these are the different steps involved in place conversion. Now what will happen? I have the system, I upgraded and do the DB migration. I have put the starter add-on and I'm now converting it to the B4 HANA. So if my whatever the SID I have originally, the same SID will get continued here. So what is the functionality of in-place conversion? You will get a same SID as original. Okay, so these are, there are many steps, but these are the high level steps. Now the question will come, how I can decide which conversion to use. Say for example, let me give you the example. Now if you see here path, my work here is, if I am on the older version, I have to upgrade, I have to do the DB migration, and then I have to put starter add-on, and then I have to convert the system. But assume that I'm a customer who is already on a 7.5, who is already on 7.5 and who is already running on the HANA database. So means what? This step is, we can omit it because you are already updated. So you are here already. So what I have to do? I have to put the starter add-on, do some work and convert. So indirectly, I am saying that if my system is updated, like I am already on 7.5, powered by HANA, minimum SP level package given by SAP, then I just have to put a starter add-on and convert my system to B4 HANA. So in such a situation, in-place conversion is useful. Any questions here?
So Silpa, like if you are already on add-on, I mean at the required support pack level, and you said like you cannot use the older objects, right?
No, that is I cannot use the older object in the sense when I will explain to you the modes of the starter add-on. Say for
Okay.
example, compatibility mode, B4H mode. So in that different modes, you have the conditions to create the older objects. So
Okay.
that will come here.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
tell me.
So
Any hmm?
max support level is 12, right here?
No, max data support level is currently for BW 7.5, latest support package is 22.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, but
Yeah.
5 is minimum.
Okay.
5 is minimum. Recommended is, I think, 12.
Okay.
Recommended is 12.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, this is in-place migration. Main important point for in-place migration is we have the same SID. So this is the option 1. Now let's try to understand the option 2, which is called greenfield implementation. Now what is the meaning of greenfield implementation? Either you don't have the data warehouse system, okay, or you have a third party system or legacy system, so you don't have SAP. Okay, you don't have SAP, then what you can do? If you don't have SAP, then you can do purely greenfield implementation directly in BW4 HANA. Okay, so this is completely, we say that a greenfield implementation because you don't have SAP. So you don't have the SAP in the sense you don't have a base ready for you. So there are no info cube, no info object, nothing is there. So as nothing is there, you have to do completely new greenfield implementation for B4 HANA directly. So your system will go directly on the B4 HANA. No middle technical things will come into picture. Okay. Now, any question in the greenfield implementation, because this is a generic word which we are using since long time. So any questions on greenfield implementation?
No.
No questions. Good. Now let me go move to the next option. Now here, if you see the next option, there is an option as a 2B and 2C. Okay, so 2B and 2C, these are more similar one, a small difference only. So let me explain what that difference is and what it is. Now consider shell conversion. Okay, now consider shell conversion. If you see here word greenfield accelerator, transfer of selected data models without data. Okay, now you have to keep in mind that whenever you say shell conversion, it is means you are moving your objects without data. So fix your in mind, keep these things in your mind. Shell conversion means move your objects without data. Okay, now assume that I have a 7.3 system, or so I have a 7.2 system. Okay, now I know that I have 100 info cubes, but over the period I have understood that actually I am using only 50 info cubes. So what is the meaning of this? I do not want to transfer 50 info cubes into new BW4 HANA. Also, so in a point number 1, what I said is the selection of objects. So out of 100 info cubes, I just want to transfer 50. So I'm doing the selection of object. Second point, my older system has 10 years data. Older system has 10 years data. I do not want 10 years data. Now, whenever I go in the new system, I want only latest 2 years data. Okay, and that also it will be my choice when to load and when to consider the complete data load or a historical data load. That is my choice. So in that case, shell conversion is useful because you are selecting the data flows which you want to move without data. So whenever I am moving my objects to B4 HANA, I am just moving metadata. I'm just moving metadata means I'm just moving objects. I am not moving the data at that time. I'm not moving the data at that time. So for example, whenever I am going to transfer my info cube to B4 HANA, this info cube will become here ADSO, advanced DSO of type InfoCube. I will get all structure of InfoCube in ADSO. Its transformation will get transferred. Its DTP will get transferred. Everything will happen and go and sit in the new system, but without data. Any question here?
No.
No. So I'm emphasizing again, shell conversion, transfer of objects without data. One more word I am going to use, transfer of selective objects, not necessarily all, without data is my shell conversion. Now let's try to understand next option as a remote conversion. Okay, now before that, you have seen one more word here, greenfield accelerator. Now, let me explain you why shell conversion is called greenfield accelerator. Okay. Now, assume I have a greenfield implementation. Okay. I have the SAP BW system and I'm doing the greenfield implementation in B4 HANA. Assume that you have a one info cube here. What I have to do in the greenfield implementation, I have to go in the B4 HANA system and create the ADSO from scratch by looking at this info cube. So what is going to happen if there are 100 characteristic in the info cube? I have to create same things in the new system again. So it is a pure greenfield implementation and my work is going to increase. But when I say greenfield accelerator, because of shell conversion, same info cube will get moved to B4 HANA by using the transfer cockpit tool, and it will happen in a 1 minute time. My InfoCube will be now become ADSO. My transformation will get converted to new transformation in B4 HANA. My DTP will get converted to DTP in B4 HANA. Means what? My object got created in new system in a 1 minute time. So my object creation time is saved, and that is why it is called greenfield accelerator. Because why I'm doing the greenfield, because I'm not taking the data. So the data flexibility I have, but all the objects are here, all the transformation logic is already there. If I have to do small change in the transformation logic, I have to do only that, but I don't have to create from the scratch. So that is why this is called greenfield accelerator. It will do your development in a faster way, because 80-90% of the objects will get transfer as it is, and you just have to modify 1 or 2% to make it with your new logic. So that is why called it as a greenfield accelerator. Any questions here?
Yeah. So, what are the conversion to levelable? I mean, basis will do it, or BW team will have tools to do it.
I will explain that in my further slide. We have a transfer cockpit tool.
Okay. Okay.
The tool name is transfer cockpit tool. Okay, and InfoCubes will get converted to ADSO automatically. Okay, almost 90% object gets converted to B4 HANA automatically. 10% we have to either develop from the scratch, or it will get half converted and we have to do the changes in those objects. Okay, so the tool name is transfer cockpit tool, which we are going to learn in the next slides. Any question? No. Now, just imagine remote conversion now. It's the same as a shell conversion. Only difference is transfer of selected data models with data. In shell conversion, we were not using transferring the data at the time of transferring of object. But here, while transferring the object itself, as soon as the object get transferred, data will also get transferred. So that is the small difference between the shell conversion and remote conversion. Everything is same. Only thing in shell conversion, you are not moving the data at the time of object movement. But in the remote conversion, at the time of object movement, we are moving the data. Any questions? It seems there are no questions.
Can you repeat once, Shilpa?
Yeah. Shell conversion means object movement without data. Remote conversion means object movement with data. That's the only difference. So what will happen? As soon as object is getting transported from here to here via transfer cockpit tool, data will move along with the object in remote conversion.
So same transfer cockpit tool will be
Will move
used,
the
right?
data. Yeah,
And
will move the
there
data.
and it will have option to, and I mean, move data as well.
It will move the data as well. For movement of data, there will be other tool, but the transfer cockpit itself will do that. Not to worry about it.
Okay.
If it will be on the same system, or we would consider BW legacy.
Where I did not get, where is the legacy system here? When I say remote conversion, here on the left hand side, it is a SAP BW system.
Yeah, SAP, let's say like SAP BW system.
Hmm.
So it will be two different infrastructures, right?
Yeah, infrastructure. Okay, let me explain that. See, when you are doing in place migration, the system is one, and that you are converting to B4 HANA. But when you are doing shell conversion, when you are doing the remote conversion, older system will be here, and the new system will be on as a target system. So there will be two systems at a time, one with the B4 HANA and one with the older older version.
And a database could be anything, right?
Here data on the left hand side database can be anything, but on the right hand side it is always HANA, because it is before
Okay.
HANA, right?
Yeah.
Any other question?
Yeah, so when we say transfer of selected data models with data, so how is the data selected, based on the system date or
It
based?
will transfer all data,
No, but we
whatever
said
present.
selected data, right? Selected
Hmm?
data. The part 2C.
It will transfer all data. For example, if you have in an InfoCube, if you have 5 years data,
Mhm.
it will transfer all 5 years data to new system.
Okay, for those selected models.
Yes, only for those selected models.
Got it. Thanks.
Okay, so let me move to the last option, which says system consolidation. Okay, now whenever you have multiple BW systems, say you have three BW systems. Okay, then whenever you have three BW systems, we call it as a consolidation. It might be possible that one system you will use as a base one, and you will use any of these conversion options to move it to B4 HANA, and then others you will go and do it in the B4 HANA, create it in the B4 HANA. All the other objects you will create it into the B4 HANA. So whenever you say multiple system consolidation, it's a separate thing. When we have to study properly that how we can optimize this to move all those to B4 HANA. So it's a consolidation of the system. Whenever you have more than one system, to move it to B4 HANA as a single system. So target here, the source will be multiple and target will be only one system. So it called as a system consolidation. In this chapter, we are not going to concentrate on system consolidation because that is not exactly conversion. So we are going to consider in place conversion. We are going to understand shell conversion, and we are going to understand the remote conversion. Any question here?
Very good.
Okay. Now, as I mentioned, again, I am repeating one point. When you do the in-place conversion, the SID will be same. But when you do shell conversion, when you do remote conversion, SIDs can be different. SIDs can be different because these are two different systems. So SIDs will be different. You can create a new SID also for new systems. So for example, if you have a development system here and its name is BWD here, BWD. And now in the new system, you want to create it as a DBW, as a development system. So that can be possible. So in remote conversion and shell conversion, SID will be different. This functionality we have because we have two systems, separate systems available at a one time. Okay. Let me move to the next slide. Now these are the differentiators among these three options which we are going to concentrate. So as I already explained, I have emphasized also that in place conversion, the functionality is you have same SID. Full system conversion of existing SAP BW system to the new system. So the SID will be same. Okay. Then what we are going to do? Step by step in place transfer of classic objects into HANA optimized counterpart. So for example, in place conversion also, we have to change InfoCube to ADSO using tool. But that will happen in a system itself. So for example, if you have a shell or remote, in the source system, you will have an InfoCube, and in the target system, you have ADSO. But in place conversion, there is only one system. So InfoCube will go away and it will get converted to ADSO with the same name, and it will sit in the same system. So once it is ADSO, InfoCube will get vanished and you will not be able to see that InfoCube. So that is in place conversion. Okay. So once once the objects are converted to the new type of object, we will have a starter add-on, and with the starter add-on, we can then give the system to the basis colleague to convert it to the B4 HANA technically. Okay. Now, if you see the in-place conversion, as I mentioned, in in-place conversion, it is two-step approach because you need minimum version as a 7.5 SPS 5 powered by HANA. So if your system is on a 7.3, then in-place conversion option is available, but then it is a two-step approach. First, you have to upgrade, you have to migrate, and then you have to convert. So it is ultimately 3 steps. So if your system is not on 7.5 and not on the required SPS level, we do not suggest in-place conversion because it is then two-step approach. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, as I'm repeating here, the system itself is getting converted to the new system. So suppose in in-place conversion, if I have 100 info cubes and I do not want 50 info cubes in the new system, then in-place conversion is not the option, because I want to do the selective selection of the data flows or objects. So then in that case, in place is not the good option. Option will be there, but it will not be the good option because you do not want all 100, right? So instead of converting all 100 and then deleting in the new system is not a good option. So whenever you want a selective data flows, this will not be the good option. Option will be there, but it is not a good option. Now in remote conversion, as I mentioned, it's a faster greenfield implementation. What will happen? A BW4 HANA system will get installed separately, and you have your original system standing on the left side. And using the transfer cockpit tool, you will do the selective object movement to new system with data. So here you will be able to see support, carve out and consolidation scenarios, transport data models, and remote data transfer, including Unicode conversion. Unicode conversion, etc. You can forget it. That is the basis part. But you just have to understand here that we are transporting the data models with data in remote conversion. Okay. Now, risk is mitigated. Why I'm saying risk is mitigated? Because I have my older system present. I have my new system present. So these both systems can run parallelly for some duration. And once I get a confidence that whatever the data is coming in the older system, same data is coming in the new system. So my new system is validated properly, then I can decommission my older system. So this implies that for some duration, I can run these two systems parallelly to verify that my business is working fine with the new system as well. So this is the benefit of remote conversion, that your risk is mitigated because you have the parallel system. But parallel system option is not available in place, because system itself is getting converted to the new system. So this in place conversion, parallel system option is not there. So that is why you can see advantages and disadvantages in the conversions. So here benefit is parallel system is allowed. Okay, data is getting moved with the data flows, and the benefit is if you do not want all objects to be moved, that is fine, you can do the selective movement of object. Now as we know the remote conversion and the shell conversion, only small difference. This is with data and this is without data. Shell conversion is without data. So they have mentioned here clearly, similar to remote conversion, but without data. Everything is applicable here. The only thing is data is not there. So it is called accelerated greenfield approach by transferring and converting the data models and flows. Now, if you see for any conversion, minimum release is different. So here in shell conversion also parallel is allowed because we have two systems which are running parallelly. So In place conversion, minimum system requirement is 7.5 SP5. Okay, and in the remote conversion, it should be 7.3 or higher, or any dB. Okay, but in shell conversion, if your system is on the 7.0 also, then you can use the shell conversion. Now consider one thing. Now I'm giving the options to you, and you tell me that which one is the better option. Now, okay, my system is on BW 7.2. Which option I should prefer?
Cell conversion.
Correct. Now my system is already on BW 7.5 SPS 13 on HANA. Which option I should consider?
In place, depending on how many objects. I mean, if like you are moving everything, or if it is selected, then remote conversion, right? I mean, if you have 100 objects and if you need 50 of them, then remote is better. But if you are moving everything, then in place.
Correct. Now you are thinking properly. Now you are thinking properly. Now, just imagine that my system is on BW 7.3. I want to move only selective objects and I want to move only selective data. Which option is beneficial?
Remote conversion.
I want to move selective data.
Oh,
So shell conversion will be
yeah,
here
yeah,
a very good
yeah.
option.
Okay.
Okay. The shell conversion will be faster and it will be a good option as well. So I think now you're getting the feel. So though this chapter is theoretical, these concepts are really important. You should not confuse yourself. Okay.
And Silpa, like when you are doing this remote conversion and all that, downtime will still be required, or business will be as usual, and I mean conversion can go on.
A really good question. So you have started thinking on it. So let me explain that point as well. In place conversion, we will transfer the object to the ADSO, etc. And then we will hand over the system to basically to move it to the B4 HANA. So in this case, BW downtime will be more. More in the sense, it might be 24 hours or 48 hours in place conversion. Okay. In remote conversion and in shell conversion, BW actual downtime is not required. Only ECC downtime is required, or we can say source system downtime is required because we have to perform delta Q clearing. Okay, so in remote conversion and in shell conversion, the downtime will be far less than in place conversion. Okay, any questions?
Shilpa, I think Sanjeeva has some question. I could see his answers.
Yeah. So my
Yeah, go
Because
ahead.
I'm
question was,
not able, yeah, you can speak because I'm not able to see your hands up or down. Okay,
yeah,
yeah, tell
yeah,
me.
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So my question is, uh, so isn't multiple, doesn't BW, I think BW systems support multiple delta initializations, right? So do we
Correct.
really need to clear the queues?
Yes, we need to clear the queues because for the data consistency. So let me explain that scenario.
Okay.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
consider shell conversion. Okay. Now consider the shell conversion. Today is Friday evening. Okay. What I will do, this is my BW existing system and this is my BW new system. Both are production systems. But this is not yet live, but this is already live. Now this BW older system is getting the data from one ECC system for simplicity. Okay. Now what I will do? What I will do is I will make the ECC down for 1 hour. I will fetch all the data to BW and move to the target. So suppose to make it simple, you have sales data, move it to the PSA, and from PSA, move it to the info queue. Okay, now ECC is down. I have fetched all the data. So currently no new data is getting created and we have all data present here till info queue. ECC is not yet up. In B4 HANA, for the same sales data source, the source system type is different now. We call it as a ODP connectivity for B4 HANA. And this ECC system will get connected to B4 HANA via ODP connectivity, and I will initialize the delta here. Now, when I initialize the delta from B4 HANA to ECC, no data is present in the ECC delta queue, and hence I can initialize my delta and I will get 0 records in the new system. So now all older records are present in the BW system. Only 0 records are present in the B4 HANA. Now ECC was down. Now I will make ECC up. And you are going to create a sales data. Now, once you create a sales data, it will be available in 2 queues. One queue which will move to the older BW system and one ODP queue which will move to the new system. So same sales data now will move to 2 different systems. Now you will ask me question, why I have taken the ECC downtime? Because what I'm going to do in shell conversion, I have initialized my delta in the new system, but what I will do is I will transfer older data. So suppose I want last 2 years data. So I will transfer last 2 years data to the new system, and then I will fetch the new data from the ECC system. So this will make sure that I have not lost any, I don't have any data loss. And that is why this downtime, this delta initialization, everything is important, and we have to fetch the data in the older system as well. Am I clear on that?
Yeah, yes.
Yes. So these are more nitty-gritties. If you are going to work on the conversion project, then all these points will come. But for the time being, as this chapter is new to you, you are learning BW4 HANA. So main purpose of this option is, at least you should understand that there are 3 types of conversion. When I should say upgrade, when I should say migration, when I should say conversion. Then what is the basic difference in these 3 options? What are the benefits? Is there parallel run there? Am I going to have the same SID? What will be the database? Whether I have 2 systems or a 1 system? This much understanding, theoretical understanding, if you get from this chapter, then we will have a good achievement. And then you have to understand what are the different tools available. It might be possible that you will not be able to run those tools. That is fine. But such a tool is present. That is, you should know. That is the expectation from this chapter. Any question up to here?
Your voice got disturbed. Okay,
Any-
please repeat.
Any question now on this slide, or I can move to the next slide?
Shilpa, can you
Shilpa, please
uh,
repeat.
Hello?
yeah, Shilpa, can you please repeat that selective part? I missed that one.
Okay. So at this point, you should be able to identify what are the 3 different conversion options available, when to use in-place conversion, when to use remote conversion, and when to use shell conversion. Now, in shell conversion and remote conversion, you will immediately say that if you want to take only selective objects, then you will prefer remote and shell conversion. But we just don't have to see only one condition. You have to see the versions also, on which version we are. Okay, I have to take selective and I need a data as well, but my system is on 7.2, then I cannot use remote, because remote minimum version should be 7.3. So in that way, you can, in this chapter, you have to understand what are different types of conversions available. How can I identify them at a basic level? Okay, any other question here? I think no questions. Let me move to the next slide. Okay, again, you will see that it's a repetition, but I want you to understand this clearly. So I'm again writing this. Convert your current BW system to B4 HANA system with same SID. This is in place conversion. So in that, whenever you have the same SID, we are redesigning the current application. So we are redesigning the existing system for with the new object. So older InfoCube will be converted to the ADSO in the same system, and we have to clean up the old and delete the obsolete objects which are not now available in B4 HANA. To give you example, suppose you have 3.x query present, then you have to move that query to either 7.x query, or you have to delete the 3.x query, because 3.x query will never get moved to the BW4 HANA. It will never open in B4 HANA. So those objects which are not compatible, say for example, if you have an info spoke in older system, then infospoke is not available in B4 HANA. You have to delete that object, and before deleting it, you have to create a new corresponding new object called open hub destination. Then only your objects will match. So instead of an info scope, you will, in a new system, you have open hub destination, and you can have the same functionality available. So in that case, info scope we have to delete it because it will not be present in B4 HANA. So the cleaning, whenever you are doing in place migration, same SID, two parts will come into picture: redesign as well as clean up and delete the old or obsolete objects. Now, whenever you have a remote conversion, whenever we have a shell conversion, we are going to have the new system available directly. We call it as a vanilla system. So blank system will be available as a B4 HANA. It's a fresh system will be available to us. Then carve out. Carve out means we are going to do the selective, we are going to select the data flows which we want to move, and then we will transfer them to B4 HANA. So, and in that case, we will have a parallel run. So we will run both the system parallelly. Once we have a confidence on the new system, all the things are moved properly, then we can phase out the existing BW system, we can decommission it. And in the third option, if you have a several BW systems, then it needs a consolidation, and it needs a complete different approach. It can be a mixed approach as well, but we have to think of this option separately when we have the multiple systems. Now, these are the understanding of different parts of parts to SAP BW4 HANA. And I think we can break out for the 10 minutes. Is it okay, Preeti?
Yeah, Shilpa, that is fine. Even I also need to jump into the call.
Okay, so
Maybe I
can
will
you,
not be available.
yeah,
Okay.
so
So
you can stop the recording and then we can start it again, right? Or pause, you can pause
Dan,
the
can you?
recording.
No, it's recording. Dan is doing. He is host for this. So I'll ask him to pause the recording. Okay,
Okay,
I'll
but I
ask
can
him.
see the pause option here.
Be you able to see it? Then do it
Okay, I have done. I have paused it.
because he has made it you as a host.
Hmm.
So
Okay,
people
so
who is having a system issues, be in the call. If I'm not able to join, just get in touch with me over Slack. I'll help you out for your system issues. Okay.
Okay, so it's 10:28. Let's come back on 10:40. So let's have a 10 minutes break and then we will move ahead.
Yeah, and Silpa, these PPTs are available in this group. Huh?
Yeah, this PPT will be available from tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, okay, fine. Let's connect after 10 minutes then.
Yes, I'm keeping this session on. I'm not doing the log off. I will keep this on the mute.
Yes, fine, Shilpa.
Hi all. All the people are back from the break. Can I start?
Yes.
Okay. So let me share my screen and start recording. Okay. So now we have up to now we have seen different types of conversions, and now we want to see the source for conversion. So if I have to do the conversion project, what are the different sources available to gain the knowledge about the conversion so that I will not miss out anything. Whenever you open BW4 HANA help link, in the help link, the first page will give you all types of links required for B4 HANA. So here, let me start with the, okay. Now, in the background, you are able to see that what is new in B4 HANA, this link is available here. Similarly, in the product guidelines, there is a link for user guide for note analyzer, and there is a link for conversion guide also. So if I'm going to work on conversion project, every time, whenever we work on the conversion project, during that time, new SPS level is always available. So what I have to do, I have to check what is my SPS level or what is the feature pack level I'm going to use in my project. Accordingly, I have to select service pack level and the feature pack level here in the help, and then I have to download the conversion guide. And I have to study this guide before starting any conversion project. In this conversion guide, everything is available in detail with all steps that what you need to do one by one in the system. So this conversion guide is very useful. You can download it from help without any problem. It is available in the PDF format. Now, similar as we have the conversion guide available, similarly, we have a central note available. Central note is the note which will gather all the information required to B4 HANA. So this is the note number I have given, and whatever we have discussed right now, what are the different types of paths available for conversion, etc. These are given in this central note. So it is available in the conversion guide as well as it is available in the SAP note. So whenever you are doing the conversion project or a upgrade project or a migration project, older documents are only for reference. Every time you have to come to this link and download the new conversion guide or new migration guide or new upgrade guide to follow on as per your SPS level. So this is the main source for the conversion, that this is the SAP note and this is the guide available as per your SPS level. Any question on this?
No, Shilpa.
No. And let me show you also. Okay, so if I'm going to open, okay, now this is B4 HANA help link. Okay, now whenever you have a B4 HANA, you can check here what is the latest available option and what is required for me. So accordingly, you can choose here. Suppose in my project, I'm going to use 2020 SP01, then I can use this. And if I go here, in this link, I'm able to see the latest SPS level which is present in my project, and this is the different types of links available. What is new, what is the roadmap, what are the features, feature scope here in this version. Now, what is the simplification? The different types of guides are available. And just now I have mentioned about the conversion guide, which is available here. Conversion guide for BW4 HANA. You can open that, download it from your side, and here the installation guide also. So basis people will use this, we have to use this conversion guide. It has again the same concepts. If you open this guide, it is slightly bigger guide. It will take time to open. It is already opened on the 19th page, but you can see here, this is the conversion guide for BW4 HANA 2021 feature pack. And here you will be able to see the index. In the index, whatever I explained to you, the business scenarios, in place, remote, shell. Okay, then what are the different phases available here? So whenever you are doing the conversion process, there is a preparation phase, realization phase, and these are the conversion topics. Now further, all the validations, preparing the conversion, preparation steps, etc., all are here present. All the steps are present, and in all the steps for all conversions are present. So here it is for in place. Then if you go down here, it is for the remote conversion, and then it is for the shell conversion. So whenever you have to refer this guide, whenever you are going to work on the project, otherwise currently it is not required for this. So in this way, you can prepare yourself for the conversion project. So these are the two main resources. Now let me move to the next slide. Okay, so let me move to the next slide. Now, in agile methodology, we have two types of phases. The first phase is preparation phase, and the second phase is realizations phase. So now in preparation phase, okay, this phase is divided into two parts. The first part is readiness check, and the second part is preparation task provided by transfer cockpit tool. Okay, now let's understand how to get the readiness check. Is the readiness check will be present directly in the system? No. What the basis person will do? Basis person, as per our BW existing version, basis colleague will implement the SAP node by looking at the central node. Okay, and once they implement the SAP node, they will run the readiness check. Once they run the readiness check, output will come into the zip file. Output will come in the zip file, and then the same zip file can be uploaded to the SAP Cloud Service URL to view the readiness check. So you can see the readiness check after it is getting generated in the system. Now, why we have to take into the zip file? Because it is very difficult to read the readiness check in the GUI format. So if you take it in the zip file, these are all XML version. You can upload it into the browser, and on the browser you can see how the readiness check look like. I will show you that. Now, is the transfer cockpit tool already present in your system? No. As per your SAP BW version, basis colleague will implement the required SAP node looking at the central node, and then the transfer tool will be available, transfer cockpit will be available, and you can access this transfer cockpit using the transaction RS B4H CONV conversion. So it's very easy to remember this. RS is the common thing. B4H and for conversion it is CO and V. So this is the transaction you can use to access the transfer cockpit tool. If you use this in your existing project system, you will be able to see that this transaction doesn't exist. We are implementing the SAP node to bring this transaction, and we have to implement maybe 50, 60, 70 SAP nodes to bring this tool as per your existing version of BW. If you are on the latest pack, service pack, then you may have to install very few SAP nodes to bring this transaction, because many things will be already available. So as I mentioned, again repeating, preparation phase can be divided into two parts. The first part is readiness check, and the second part is transfer cockpit tool. Any question on this? Okay, if no questions, let me move to the next part. Okay, now if I have to do the, as I mentioned to you, that a basis colleague has to install notes. Now, how we will understand which notes we have to. Has anyone asked any question?
No, Silpa.
No, okay. So, basis person, they see as per different versions of BW, which nodes to be implemented. Every time looking at the central node and find out the other nodes, and in that node there will be list of other nodes. It's very difficult. So SAP has given the tool which is called note analyzer. Okay, note analyzer is also not readily available. We have to implement the note to bring this report to use the note analyzer. So basis will do this. Now, once the basis has installed this report in your system, basis people will run this report, and they will get list of SAP nodes which they have to install to bring transfer cockpit tool as well as to bring readiness check. So SAP has given this functionality. It will automatically search in your system and it will give you the list of valid SAP nodes which needs to be implemented in your system. So this is the tool used in preparing the conversion part by basis colleague. Okay, any question on this? As a BW consultant, we don't have to go into depth of this, but we just have to remember that there is a note analyzer tool which basis is going to use to check further notes to bring the system for our conversion. Any question? If no question, I'm moving further.
Shilpa, like in the first step, right? You said like there will be a zip file based on which we will analyze on the preparedness or the readiness. So what are the usual things which are found in the readiness checks?
I'm showing that in the next slide.
Okay.
Okay. So your basis colleague has installed the SAP notes. They have generated the zip file, and this zip file can be uploaded on this URL, readiness check. So in this URL, you can upload the file and you will get a graphical representation here. Okay, now what the graphical representation, the important point here is add-on compatibility. This SAP note will automatically search in your system that what are add-ons which are installed. Suppose there are 10 add-ons installed in your system. Out of 10 add-ons, only 8 add-ons are available in BW4 HANA. 2 are obsolete. They are not available. So they are not available. So what will the system will do? The system will give the indication. It will list out those 2 add-ons that these will not be available. So either we have to check alternative for it, or we have to delete it if we are doing the in-place migration. Okay, so this is see, readiness check is giving the details of add-on installing on your system. Now, second, readiness check will also give sizing. In terms of sizing, when you say sizing, how the system is going to check if you are on an Oracle and you are not using column tables, you are using the row tables, then system will automatically check that though the current data is in the TB, we will require only half of the data when they will move to HANA, because currently the system is using the other DB and row tables. They are not using column tables. So system will automatically calculate the details and tell us that what is the disk space requirement is, what will be for the future, and how much memory will be consumed for what. Say for example, here you can see this memory is consumed for data, this memory consumed for logs, and this memory is consumed, this is the memory requirement. So now when we say logs, so whenever we are running the readiness check, it is expected that you should do housekeeping in your system. Because if you do the housekeeping in your system, so suppose for example, you have procession logs and last 10 years you have not deleted the procession logs, and that table size is really big. So before running this, if you have done proper housekeeping, then you will have only last 1 year procession logs available. So accordingly, to store the logs, how much size is required, etc., will get calculated properly, and then accordingly basis can do the sizing. Apart from this sizing, they have to think that for next 5 years, what is my yearly growth of data, and am I doing that arrangement from the starting that this much size is required, so that in next 5 years I don't have to add more memory. I can run with the existing one, because see, HANA costing is totally depend on HANA memory. So all this sizing is really important. We should know that there is something like sizing is going to happen, but this will be mainly done by basis correct. Add-on compatibility we have to check, because if one or two add-ons are not compatible, then we have, as a BW consultant, we have to check for the alternatives, or we have to make them absolute, and we have to find out the alternative if it isn't used. Okay, then these object compatibility will be available as the graph. Now, whenever you say green, all objects are compatible. Means all these objects are compatible. It will be InfoCube, DSO, etc. These will get automatically converted via tool in your new system. So these are all available in the new system. Okay, and then if you see here, it is a yellow color and a red color. Okay, so here if you see the red color, it is not compatible and no tool is available. And orange color, it says not compatible but tool is available. So let me explain. Not compatible tool is available. Suppose for example, you have 3.x data source, or you have 3.x data flow. 3.x data flows are not compatible with BW4 HANA. So you have to convert 3.x data flows to 7.x data flows in your pre-activity of the project. But for doing the 3.x to 7.x, tool is already available, which is nothing but RS migrate. So that tool is available, which will convert your data 3.x data flows to 7.x data flows. So that is why these get listed in the orange color. Now consider InfoSpoke. Now InfoSpoke will come into the red color. Why it will come into the red color? Because InfoSpoke will not get automatically converted to OpenHub. So as I mentioned, these mean the objects which are in red status, you have to redevelop them. Say for example, APDs. Few functionalities of APDs are not compatible with the new one. So instead of APDs, you may have to do the development of HANA APDs. So accordingly, now this is just a graphical view. Does this imply that am I not going to get the list of objects? Yes, you will get the list of objects as well. So if you click here in the green, it will give you the Excel. You can download this sizing report in the Excel, which will give you the object level details also. So what it says right now, it is 84% compatible. So 16% we have to do the adjustments via tool or manually. But as I say, it's a if you do the conversion and if you use shell conversion or remote conversion, already 84% are compatible, which we can be moved directly via transfer cockpit. So only 16% work needs to be done. So instead of developing everything from the scratch, we can use the conversion methodology to correct these objects and do the few development to move to B4 HANA. Any questions? Any question in this slide? So have you understood that what is available in the readiness check? Why the readiness check is crucial? It will give you the complete history, complete details of your system, including the data sources details, including the source system details, all the things it will give you. Any question in this part?
So in this case, Basis will implement the node for the readiness check, and we will run the program and check, right?
Basis will generate it. They will upload the zip file to the URL and they will give us the URL.
Okay.
And that URL we have to check for our study.
Okay.
Okay, as I mentioned, sizing will be mostly checked by management and the basis colleague. Our part is 1 and 3, object compatibility, because this is here the basis is not going to help us. We have to analyze everything because these are all related to BW. Okay. Any question, or I can move ahead? Okay, so let me go, let me move to the next slide. Okay, now as I mentioned to you, preparation phase. Preparation phase has two parts. The first part is readiness check, and the second part is transfer cockpit tool. The basis colleagues has installed the SAP nodes and they have now the RS B4H conv transaction is available. In these transactions, you will be able to see different options are available. Now we have to understand what are these options and which options are required in place migration, which are required in remote conversion, which are required in shell conversion. So this is really important. So this is the way we are going to use the transfer cockpit tool. In transfer cockpit tool, you can observe the first box is related to prepare phase. And the second box is the realization phase. So there are only two phases, preparation and realization. In conversion, preparation phase is a bigger than realization phase, because if you prepare well, which objects you have to move, which data you have to move, have you converted all your obsolete objects to the new objects, etc. So everything will come into the prepare phase, and realization phase, it will just move the objects. So this is prepare phase is really crucial phase. Now let's try to understand different options available. Okay, now you are able to see this screen, but this screen can be slightly different as per your versions of SAP BW. So let me go to the system. Okay, this is your S4H system. Okay, in the S4H system, I am going to consider RS B4H con V transaction, and I will see what is available. Okay, now this is a training system and this is meant to learn BW4 HANA. So this is not for the conversion project. So you will be able to see different options here. But you, for example, you will be able to see the execute pre-checks. I tried that. Pre-checks are not getting executed here because this system is not meant for the conversion right now. So this is just showing you the screen to get a feel. Okay, it is just that we have to feel it, what are the different options available, we have to understand it. So if you go here also and show the logs, normally what will happen if your system is prepared to for the transfer cockpit, you can execute the pre-check, you can see the log and it will show you the different options. Now then here it is a run sizing report, code scanner, everything is there. And let's try to understand from the PPT now, because we will not be able to execute the things here. Just to get a feel, they have given those options there.
So
Okay.
Silpa, we have to run this in both ECC as well as BW system, or just BW system?
Are you going to convert, ask questions to yourself. Are you going to convert ECC objects or BW objects?
So it would be both, right? Even data sources also
No,
need to be.
data sources will automatically get converted. So you don't have to worry about it. So here this transfer cockpit will be available on your existing BW system, not in the ECC system. Okay, now you will see that for the temporary purpose they have given you it in the S4 HANA. Okay, because S4 HANA has the embedded BW, so they have given the look and feel of the transaction only for temporary purpose in S4 HANA, but it will not be, we are going to use the transfer cockpit in the existing BW system. Any question?
Yeah. So yeah, when you said S4 HANA, and that's why I was a bit confused. I mean,
Yeah, I understood that, but that is only they have given a temporary purpose because they cannot give the transfer cockpit in BW4 HANA, right?
yeah.
Your B4H system is in the B4 HANA, but
Yeah.
S4 HANA has embedded BW. So they to get a look and feel of the transaction, they have given you that option.
Okay.
Okay. Now let's try to understand. As you can see that whatever the options we got in the real screens might be slightly different. It depends on the version. So let's try to understand few options from here. Here, the first option is check transfer tool revision. Means this is, we are not going to use it, basis will use this button. What they will do, they will click on this button and they will see that all the SAP nodes, whatever required for transfer tool is properly installed on your system or not. So they will check the latest version, proper version, anything missing or not, they will check here and give the indication to basically. If everything is green here, we are safe to use the tool. If this is not green here, we are not safe to use this tool. We have to discuss with basis colleague whether we have to ignore those warnings or what we need to do further. Okay. Now there are different options available here. Execute the pre-checks. You got the list of objects. You got the list of objects in the readiness check. Now you will work on those objects and etc. When you execute the pre-check, in a first run, it will show you which objects need to get changed before transfer cockpit, which objects will get changed during the transfer cockpit, and which object needs to be changed after the transfer cockpit has run. So there are three different phases in this. So this pre-check will give these idea about these three things. Now when you say execute the pre-check, you will be able to see the log. Now suppose it has shown that 3.x objects are there, you have to convert it to 7.x. Now what will happen? You have converted all 3.x object to 7.x object. Then you can again execute the pre-check to see that now there is no warning related to 3.x. So these are the pre-checks. It will give you the idea how much work is pending, how much work is done, so that it will be we can do the things in a proper way in the system itself instead of doing a manual work, manual tracking. The next option. The next option is execute the check for specific scope. Now suppose in this scope transfer, I have to transfer one info cube. Okay, now if I directly go here and I have used that info cube here, then it is going to gather info cube corresponding transformation. If DSO is used as a lower level data flow object, it will collect the DSO also. And if that DSO is getting the data from the data source, it will collect that object also. So that is called scope, or that is we call it as a data flow. So I want to check that if I am moving this info cube, is there any error coming? So if I do here directly, then, and if I get the error, then I have to resolve those error, and I have to delete that TR as well, because that TR, whatever I'm going to create, it has some errors, so it is not getting properly created. So what SAP has done is execute scope transfer. Before that, you have a execute check specific scope. So what I can do is, suppose I have 50 info cubes which I want to transfer. So I will check all these 50 info cubes here, and I will check it whether the corresponding data flow is error free or not. If it has an error, so suppose for example I have an info cube, but it has the data source which is of 3.x, then it will flag me here. So I will immediately understand that I have to correct that 3.x. I have forgotten in the pre-checks to convert the data 3.x data source to 7.x. So this is the check. Now, once I have checked all the scope elements, whatever the scope I am considering, once I have checked here, my job will be easy in execute, because in execute, then my number of errors will automatically get reduced. Suppose if I have got 10 errors here and I have resolved those 10 errors, so these 10 errors will not come here because I have already implemented. So that is why SAP has given this option as a check, and this is actual execution. Run sizing report, I have already told you that this is for the basis purpose to understand that how much we should consider for development, how much we should consider for quality production. They have some there SAP notes to benchmark the three systems and accordingly. Now scan coding. Scan coding means we have the ABAP coding may be available. As you know that in B4 HANA, older type of ABAP is not allowed, only OOPS is allowed. Okay, so there is a ABAP code which is not compatible with B4 HANA. All this will get listed here. Suppose you have used info package. In info package, you have used routine, or in a transformation, you have used communication structure, which is not compatible with the BW4 HANA. Then you have to change those codes. So this code scanner will list out all the objects corresponding to the ABAP coding, which you have to change and make them compatible with the BW4 HANA. So this option is here. Some few things will be we have to convert it before, and few things we have to convert it afterwards. As we know that we all are BW consultant expected to work on ABAP as well. So almost out of 100, 95% code changing can be done by ourselves very easily. It might be possible that they have used some function module which is available in the older system, which is not available in the new system. In that case, we may have to consult a BAPer to see that what is available in B4 HANA. If you are expert in that as well, then you can do it by yourself as well. You can Google it to check that what is the alternative for this function module in B4 HANA. And that you have to use, and then you have to change your code. So this gives you all details about your coding part. Okay, now consider cleanup, execute the cleanup reports. Cleanup reports, as I said to you, that is a housekeeping job. Housekeeping job, you have to keep your system up to date so that you can do the sizing properly, you can do the data transfer properly, it will take less time. So cleanup reports are really very important. If you are using in place conversion, And if you are using the remote conversion, cleanup reports are mandatory. But if you are using shell conversion, cleanup reports are not required, because you are going to move the objects and you are not moving the data immediately. So if suppose, for example, if you are moving the data as well and proper cleanup is not done for the change log, PSA, etc., then data movement might take time. So that is why in the remote conversion and in place conversion, execution of cleanup report is really important. It will reduce your time in conversion process. In shell conversion, this is optional. As we know that we have the authorizations as well. Authorizations, whatever the older authorizations we have, that can be, we need that authorizations in the new system as well. There are few changes in the authorization. So what the security person will do? Security person will run this. They will understand what are the authorization defined in the current system and what they have to move to the new system. So conversion guide will guide them step by step how to do this. So this is the security person. So these are the different options available for the preparation phase. And this is actually conversion, whatever the scope we have considered, we are going to execute it properly. And the scope statistic will be available here, that what we have moved, how much time we required, so that for the next system we can prepare accordingly, etc. Now you will learn in the B4 HANA, BW4 HANA, the technical content, whatever the TCT star objects are not available in the BW4 HANA. These are available in the older one. Now, if you are doing the in place conversion, these objects will not get converted to the B4 HANA, because B4 HANA has the CDS views for the technical content. So that is a complete different installation. So what we have to do, we have to delete the technical content in that case if you are doing the in place migration. Okay, so these are the different operation available, and this is the change the operation mode. So this is the starter add-on mode. What are the different modes available for starter add-on? I will show you afterwards. So any question on this slide? It's a theoretical. Try to understand it. I understand that you are not going to work on it, so it is difficult to remember. Any questions? No questions? Everything you have understood or nothing you have understood? Please answer. Everyone is on mute. Am I audible?
Yep, Shilpa, you are audible.
Okay, okay. So I'm assuming that everything is okay and new questions, no questions are there. So I will move to the next slide now.
Shilpa, do you have any examples where we can see how these come out?
Yes. What I will do is, in my current project, in next 2 weeks, we are going to bring the transfer cockpit tool. So what I will do is, because of the security reasons, I may not be allow you to showcase the system, but what I can do is I will take the screenshots and show it to you how it looks like. Okay.
Okay, that would be
But
great. Thank you.
that I will do it, and after your theoretical sessions, whenever I will discuss with Preeti, I will take say half an hour session where I can show you all these in details when I'm going to do in my system. Okay. So now pre-check. As I mentioned in pre-check, it will give you the list of objects which you have to move before running the transfer tool. There are some objects which you have to work on before as well as after, and there are some objects which you have which will be transferred during the transfer tool. So for example, let me give you example. If you have a 3.x flow, it will come into the before transfer tool. So before running the transfer tool, you have to convert 3.x flow to 7.x. Okay. Now consider ABAP code. Okay. You may have to work on the ABAP code before, as well as you may have to work on ABAP code afterwards also. So that part will come here. Now during the transfer tool, this is during the transfer tool means it will give you the info cube list. As an example I am giving, it will give you info object, open up destination, everything. So for example, here you will get an info cube, because info cube is going to get transferred to ADS. So during the transfer tool, we don't have to interfere in that. So that will come into the during transfer tool. Any questions in these three options? Okay, and you can see that in before transfer tool, these are the listed things. You can click on this on the right hand side, it will give you the actual technical name of the objects as well. Okay, now this is the HANA mode in place migration. Further steps, this 4, 5, 6, 7, these 4 steps are related to in place conversion, because if you see here, I have this readiness check, this pre-check is ran for in place conversion. So that is why you are able to see 4, 5, 6, 7. If you have ran it for the remote conversion, or if you have ran it for the shell conversion, you will not be able to see 4, 5, 6, 7. As I mentioned, these modes I'm going to explain in the next slide. Any questions here? Okay, no questions. I'm moving further. Okay, so this is the screen which we are getting for the cleanup reports. So these are the housekeeping jobs. We can do it. If you want to delete any objects, you can delete here, because you may be doing in place migration, but you do not want these objects because this is never used, etc. So these cleanup report can be used. You can bring this cleanup report by running the report rs_delete_t logo. So this can be done clearly, and you will be able to do the housekeeping jobs. Currently, you don't have to go into depth of this, because if you go into the depth of this, you will not be able to understand it. You just have to get an overview of this chapter. So overview means what? You just have to understand that there we have to perform the housekeeping jobs in conversion, and where it is mandatory in plus conversion, and in remote conversion this is mandatory, but it is not mandatory for the shell conversion. If you understand this much, that is fine. This is the only requirement for this chapter. Currently, whenever you are learning second chapter, understanding is expected, not the execution. Execution, when you will actually do it, automatically it will come. By theoretically it is not going to come, because there are different options, different variety of objects. So you just have to understand it, what are the conversions, what are the different phases available, and which different reports are available. Any question in this? They have mentioned that you have to use this report very carefully, because you may delete the object which are in use, and that is not transported also. So let's see. So this is the cleanup report thing. Now I'm going to give you the we call it as a simplification list. I have given you the small part of it, but as an understanding purpose, but I will show you the simplification list as well. Now here you are able to see that here previous object types, and SAP has mentioned that they have reduced the number of objects. So the BW for HANA is more simplified. So these are its successor objects. Say for example, you have a classic DSO. Then in new system, the same will be converted as a ADSO of the type standard. Now, if you have an info cube, in new system, it will be available as a ADSO of type info cube, but it is ADSO. So tomorrow, when you will learn modeling, you will understand in BW for HANA, we don't have info cube. In BW for HANA, we don't have info set. We don't have a multi-provider, but alternatives are available. Say, for example, here in BW, we have an info set and multi-provider. Infoset mean intersection operation. Multi-provider is union operation. In older system, we have two objects, but in new system, we have only one object called composite provider. And these both operations are available in the composite provider. Okay. Now, in an older system, we have an object called SPO, semantically partition object, that is similarly available, but its name is semantic group of ADSOs. Okay, because partitioning you can do it for the InfoCube, DSO, etc. But here we have only ADSO, so it has a semantic group of ADSO. Okay. Now, virtual provider. Virtual provider is available under 7.x, but in new system, either you can consider virtual provider as an open ODS view, composite provider, or a body provider. So here you have to think that I have a virtual provider in my older system, and now in the new system, virtual provider is not available. Where it will fit? Will it go to the ODS view? Will it go to the composite provider, or I have to create a body provider? So in pre-check, you will get the idea that you have to create it manually, or it will get converted automatically. So pre-check will give all idea. Now, 3.x data flows. It will be 3.x data source or transfer rules, update rule, or info package. All these will not be available in BW4 HANA. We have to convert it to the 7.x data flows. Okay. Any question? This is giving you just idea about what are the older objects and what will be the new objects. Any question in this? Seems no question, so let me move to the next.
Yeah, so this transformation, whatever would be converted, I mean, it will still have the ABAP, I mean, the classical ABAP code, or it will convert to OOPS ABAP code.
It will not automatically convert it. You have to convert it.
Okay.
If in classical, whatever you have used is not compatible with the new one, then you have to convert it.
Okay.
But
Otherwise, I mean,
transformation is available in the older system. Transformation is available in B4 HANA as well.
okay.
It's the only problem of compatibility of the code. Say, for example, in my last project, the transformation, I have the transformation. It has used the communication structure as a source and something like that. So we have to convert that to the new ABAP code, and we have transferred it before only. Or you can transfer it afterwards also, but we have to note down all the things and do the required things.
Okay.
Now, there are different tools. Bex Query Designer is not at all available in B4 HANA. Never do the mistake of opening B4 HANA query in Query Designer. You should not do that at all. It might get corrupted. It is not going to get corrupted always, but it might get corrupted. So you should not open BW4 HANA in Query Designer. You should always use in the query tool, which is available in the Eclipse. Please note that. Now SAP is suggesting to use Eclipse. So never use HANA Studio for BW4 HANA. You have to use Eclipse. Eclipse is developing, and all the issues related to tool are resolved in Eclipse, not in the HANA Studio. So you have to use Eclipse. Don't go to the HANA Studio. Now suppose you are using the application web application designer in the older tool. Then corresponding alternative is either you have to redesign it in the Lumira, or you have to redesign it into the SAC. So immediately, if I'm doing the solutioning and I understood from the readiness check that they are using WAD, which is the web application designer. So immediately I have to tell them that these are the things you have developed in the WAD and this is not available. We have to redevelop them either in the SAC or Lumira as whatever the tool you are going to use in the future. Now, most important thing, Bex Analyzer Workbook. This Bex Analyzer workbook will not get converted to B4 HANA. Suppose you have the BEX Analyzer workbook design. We have to redevelop it in the SAP Analysis Office or in SSE. We have to redevelop it from the scratch. These are not automatically converted. Okay. Now, SAP has paid service, which will move some part of Analyzer workbook to the Analysis Office, but not completely. So it is a paid service. So mostly the customer are not going to use it unless and until it is very critical. So if you are using the workbook, we have to tell the user, say for example, now when the user is going to use the workbook, suppose user is accessing the BEX query in Excel. Now we have a default view of query, but user want to do some filtration. He want to do drag and drop of few characteristics, or he want to do add one column, which will be the Excel column, and then he will save that in a workbook so that every day he will open the workbook and refresh it, and the report will be ready in his format. But the base will be your BEX query. So in that case, what the user has to see, we cannot do that because we do not know what filters users has used, what everything we have to redevelop, then it is difficult for consultants. So normally what is said is every end user who has developed that workbook, he has to recreate that workbook in the Analysis Office and then use it further. And BEX query, which is the default report, we are giving them directly in the BW4 HANA. So the end user doesn't have to worry about it because query is available. They just have to reformat it as per their requirement. So this is really important. Workbooks are not available here. Now suppose customer is using the broadcasting setting. They are broadcasting the report to the portal, or they are broadcasting the report to their email. Then broadcasting functionality is also not available in the BW4 HANA. Now this functionality is not at all available. Then if the user has to use it, then either they have to use the business object for scheduling the reports, or they have to use the SSE functionality. But again, these are not convertible. They have to again redesign it, mail report, again come here, open the report and schedule it to receive it on a mail. So this is really crucial and important. We have to consider this before the start of the project. We have to make customer aware that these objects will not get converted. Okay, and as these are created by end users will recreate them, not the BW consultant. Or sometimes if BW consultant has created it, we have to recreate it in the new system as well. Then BEX has the report designer also. That tool is not available. Then in new before BW4 HANA, you can use either Crystal reports or you can use the SSE for report designer. So if you have the formatted report, it is which get printed on the paper to show it to the management and etc. You have to redevelop it either in the Crystal report or SSE. So these are the older tools which are not at all available, and these are the alternatives for them. Now if you see here, BEX, these are all BEX tools which are Java based. In BW4 HANA, Java is not available, and that is why all these tools are not available. So in B4 HANA, Java stack is not present, and that is why all these tools are not available. We have to use these new tools. Okay, now any question here?
Yeah, like you said, like Eclipse is the best tool for B4 HANA. And do we have any any SAP document or anything that says that? Because
Yes,
our
you
client
can.
is only in HANA Studio, so
No. So say for example, you are using this BW462 book. Okay. Tomorrow you are going to learn the modeling, or yesterday, I'm not sure, in the first chapter or in the third chapter, they are going to explain that how you can do the modeling. So they have mentioned Eclipse. Nowhere they have mentioned the HANA Studio. If the HANA Studio is still available, they could have mentioned both the options, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like, is there any
But HANA Studio itself is Eclipse tool, right? Eclipse based.
No, both are different tools. Both are different tools. HANA Studio, it was previously different tool, and now Eclipse is the different tool. Okay, in Eclipse, we have the perspective, we have the BW modeling perspective, HANA perspective, etc. And right now, whenever you are loading it, 1 minute, let me check.
So actually, in our project, we are using HANA Studio. We are still not in BW4 HANA, but in HANA Studio itself, we have all BW modeling perspective and all different perspectives.
See, it is available. It is available. I have never said that in HANA Studio it is not available. But suppose whatever the SAP is developing newly, if you get an error and etc. in Eclipse, you will not get those errors, because with new versions of Eclipse it is getting resolved. So SAP is suggesting, see here, this is the SAP site. Okay, tools.hana.ondemand.com. If you go to the BW, okay, now what SAP says, what is the procedure? It says install Eclipse. Have they mentioned HANA Studio? No, because now in the new things we have to use the Eclipse. These perspectives are better than what we have in the HANA Studio. BW modeling's perspective, others perspective, these are better in the Eclipse, and that is why SAP says that you should go to the Eclipse and then you should use this URL to download the BW modeling tool or ABAP modeling tools. So this is crucial. So if you do not have this link, I will give you this link, but you have to always use Eclipse. See, if you are using HANA Studio, I'm not saying that you will get error or etc. But yes, now SAP is suggesting that you should use Eclipse, not the HANA Studio. Okay. Any questions?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. So let me move to the. Let me check what is the time now. Okay, still we can do till 12 o'clock. So let's see what is next. Okay. Now always we will get a question that what will get moved to the B4 HANA. So for example, what the transfer tool will do. So this is the, say for example, let me bring the laser pointer. Okay, now this is old system. In old system, we have the classic data store object. We have the change log, we have active data, and we have the inbound table. So this is classic one. So obviously we have to activate the data. Now, when we say it's a classic one, the standard one, we have to activate the data. So whenever we are transferring this to BW4 HANA, change log in a remote conversion, change log will get transferred to change log, active data will get transferred to active data, but inbound table will not have the inbound table. Here the data will not be there because all the requests are already activated. Now we have the different convention here. So if you see here, it's a table name ending with 1 and table name ending with 2. So these are the different tables. So whenever tomorrow you are going to learn BW modeling, you will create ADSO. So don't just create the ADSO. Try to, in the below part, in a general tab, in a properties, try to understand what type of tables got created with that, and there you will be able to see that these are the tables which got created, and these are the views also which are which get created. So we call it as a compatible views. Okay, so these are the different things which get created. Any question on that on this slide? So this is just for the understanding purpose. Okay, if no questions, let me move to the next slide.
1 and 2 indicates what is that?
One is for the active tables, so two is for the so you can check. You can check one or two or three, whatever the tables. It will have the details according to your ADSO type. Okay, but like for example, for InfoCube, we have a F table. Okay, but now F will not be there because everything is ADSO. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So that is why I'm saying tomorrow when you are going to do the BW modeling, please, after creation of your ADSO, try to in properties tab, try to understand what different types of tables got created, what different types of views got created. So you will get idea. Okay.
Okay.
Now suppose you have an InfoCube. Suppose you have an InfoCube. And then your InfoCube is going to get converted to the ADSO. Then we don't have the, so what we will have the, here we will have a fact table, and fact table, in fact table, whatever non-compress requests are there, it will go to the inbound table. Okay, and I think one is the inbound table and two is the active data table. So for InfoCube also this will happen. Okay, and in InfoCube, in procession, I'm just, when you will learn the BW4 HANA in next chapters, you will get the idea that it is not necessary that always, whenever you compress the request, compress in the sense, whenever you activate the InfoCube request, it will go and sit in the active table and inbound table will be free. Otherwise, if you do not activate any InfoCube request, it will be always in the inbound table. It will be never in the active data table. Okay, so compressed and non-compressed concept can be used in B4 HANA differently, but you will learn that in the BW4 in the modeling part and in the procession part. Okay,
So
now suppose there is a yeah, any question?
So compress request will be in active table.
In active table, yeah, compress request.
Okay.
So suppose if you have an InfoCube, you have loaded 10 requests and you never compressed it, so it will be always in the inbound queue.
And it will be reportable, right? The data would be still be reportable, like in earlier scenario.
Data will be reportable. Data will be reportable. But just imagine you have a 10 request and you have not compressed it. So whenever you do the reporting, the system has to perform that calculation to show you the exact data, right? Because the same sales data, sorry, same inventory is has come yesterday and same inventory, similar inventory has come today, but you are not compressing it, or sales data you are not compressing. So plus minus all these things will happen runtime. So it is better that you compress the request after some time, say after 10 days, 15 days, whatever, or 1 month, whatever duration you want to keep it as a non-compress, you keep it non-compress, but afterwards you compress it. But while reporting, it will take the data from both. So your reporting will be never wrong.
And that selective deletion concept is still there?
It is there, but for selective deletion, it cannot be in the inbound table. It has to be in the active table.
No, but that will be compressed, right? Once compressed.
Yes. Compress, then only you will be able to delete it.
So the same thing like ADSO happens, like inbound table, the new table will be data will be there, and once we done activation, it moves to active data, right?
Correct. Yes.
So, Shilpa, like when you convert DSO into ADSO and cube to ADSO, is there any change in the target ADSO? Like what kind of ADSO it would be, like any specific parameters will be set
No.
like that?
Tomorrow in the modeling, you will be able to learn it, because when you see it, you will be able to imagine it, because in ADSO, we have a different templates available and different types available in Eclipse. Okay, so whenever you learn ADSO, you will be able to see the option that, for example, if you want a standard DSO, then when you convert the standard DSO to ADSO, the change log table will automatically be clicked. If it is a direct update, then only that active table will be there. Change log will not be there. Something like this. So these all settings will get automatically transferred and maintained in the ADSO when you use the transfer cockpit. So for example, in InfoCube, changelog will never be get tick marked. So these are the tick marks available in the Eclipse for ADSO settings.
Okay, so since in BW4 HANA all becomes ADSO, so in this case, how the in look wise, like the object wise, the differentiation able to identify whether it's a direct update DSO or InfoCube or classic DSO. How do we identify?
So say for
it?
example, in the below screen. Okay, so here you are able to see the sign. So as soon as you see this icon, you say InfoCube. Okay, as soon as you see this icon, you say DSO.
Yeah.
Right. But in the DSO, if you have to see direct update DSO, standard DSO, if you have to go to the settings and check, right?
Yes, correct.
Similarly, in Eclipse, you have to go to the that ADSO and see if change log is tick marked, then this is standard ADSO, standard DSO. If change log is not tick marked, okay, and it is written that all characteristics are the key, then it is InfoCube. So that you will learn tomorrow when you will learn actually the different types of ADSO.
Okay.
Okay, so let me to be precise. Okay. Tomorrow you will learn modeling. Okay, modeling you are going to do this. Okay. Somewhere in this chapter, next few chapters, you will do core modeling. So here in the core modeling, that is the chapter number 4, there is an option called advanced ADSO. And if you see here advanced ADSO, you will, as I was mentioning in the chapter number 4, you will be able to see all these things in properties. This is inbound table, active table, etc. If the change log table is not there, this will not be present there, right? So in Eclipse, you will be able to see all these settings. Okay, and you will learn this in the chapter number 4. See here, these are the settings which you can see it in the Eclipse, and accordingly you can determine which one is the which one. Okay.
Okay.
So that will come into the chapter 4. So this is just an idea about the transfer tool. Let me go to next option for the transfer tool.
That PDF is downloadable,
Okay.
right?
Actually, normally SAP Learning Hub books are not downloadable.
Okay.
But I'm not sure how the SAP has kept this open. You can download it. Only this option is available for this book, not for all books.
Okay.
So you can today you can go to the Learning Hub and you can save it. You will get a 462 book and you can learn it every time. You don't have to go to the Learning Hub.
So no,
This is Delta.
I tried downloading, it didn't work. So I mean, it will download only few pages that you open. I mean, it will
No,
not.
but I got.
Okay.
I got full.
Okay.
And I tried yesterday. It got downloaded full.
Okay. We'll try again then maybe.
Okay, no problem. So here, let me come to the next point. Okay. Now here you will be able to see this is the data flow looks like in the older system, and in the new system InfoCube will be ADSO, DSO will be also ADSO. So this InfoCube is again ADSO, and this multi-provider is become the composite provider. Okay. So it will look like this in the new format. But obviously, they have shown in the book, they have shown the screenshot in the GUI-like format, but you are going to see that in the Eclipse, not in the GUI. Okay. So multi-provider will get converted to composite provider. Now, summary, and then we can take a break of 5 minutes. So summary for BW4 HANA transfer tool support. Okay. BEX queries. Okay. BEX queries, if they are 7.x, you don't have to modify them. They will automatically get converted via transfer cockpit tool to BW4 HANA. If you have used request ID as a characteristic, you have to change it, but that you will get it in the pre-check. So in general, if you have used the standard functionality of BEX queries, this will get converted to BW4 HANA without any problem using the tool. You don't have to do the manual action. As I mentioned, these are the 3.x data flows. If 3.x data flows are present in your system, you have to use the tool called RS migrate, and you have to convert them into the 7.x before you run the transfer tool. Otherwise, transfer tool will give error and you will not be able to move the object. Okay. Now, all the 7.x objects, which are of this type, okay, they can be converted to in the new system with this transaction RS B4H con B. As they have done the star for APDs, because APDs are not fully convertible, it will create a placeholders, and for the APDs to create the placeholders, they have used the different transaction called RSB4H APD. Otherwise, if this tool is not transferring your APD, remember that it is using the functionality which is not compatible to B4 HANA, and you have to recreate this APD in new system as an open hub destination. Any question?
So open apps are still in same name in B4H.
Yes, yes. Okay.
It will
Next.
be part of this ADSO or it will be separate?
No, open up destination, how you have defined it is, it depends on that. If open up destination is
Simple.
based on query, it will be based on query. Open up destination is based on ADSO, it will be based on that. If it is going to give you the file, it will give you the file. If it is going to store the data in the database table, it will store the in new system also, it will store it in the database. Okay.
Thank you.
So next is manual redesign. No tools are supported. So this is again revision. So we have the web analyzer. It's not convertible. You have to create it in the new system. BEX broadcasting, you have to create it in the new system. If you have a DB connectivity, UD connectivity of web services or data services. So in this DB connectivity and UD connectivity source systems, you have to create them as a HANA source system, because these will not be the ODP based source system. So you have to manually convert. The system will not convert it. You have to create it properly. Okay. Then BODS, web services. This is the new concept. This concept is newly introduced in 2021 and it is still enhancing. It is called write interface enable. See, every time we run the procession and get the data. So that is called a pull method. Okay. But when we are on the write interface enable ADSO, then it is a push method. So that is the difference. So in a web services and data source services, in the new way, it will be the right, it will not be the source system. Though so BODS is the source system to you, web services is the PI, is the source system to you. It will, in the new system, it will not be the source system, but it was a write interface enable ADSO, which in which the data will get pushed automatically. Okay. Then
Silpa, ADP itself is, sorry, ODP itself is push mechanism, right? ODP. I mean, do we still need this?
ODP is it's a framework. What do you want to say ODP? Say for example, you have a SAP ECC system. If you want to connect ECC system to B4 HANA, then the methodology terminology used to create the source system is the ODP source system. It is going in ECC system, it is going to use the ODP framework. But web services, it is PI.
Okay.
So PI is not going to connect it with the BW4 HANA as the ODP connectivity.
Okay.
Have you understood now?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this is the virtual InfoCube. As I mentioned, virtual InfoCubes, you have to study and then decide whether it will be composite provider, OpenODSO view, body, or HANA calculation view accordingly. Okay. Now, RDA. Now, RDA has an alternative streaming. You will feel that you may not have heard the word streaming, procession, etc. You will feel that this is BW4 HANA concept, but no. This is not a BW4 HANA, new concept in the BW4 HANA. It is available in the older versions also, but RDA should get replaced in BW4 HANA as a streaming procession. The streaming procession means you have to decide that what is the interval I have to push the data to BW. Say, for example, in real time, it will get immediately pushed to BW, but I do not want immediate. I can have the lag of 5 minutes. So I can create a pre-streaming procession which will run every 5 minutes, and it will take care that whether the previous procession is completed or not, etc. This new concept you will learn in the separate chapter, which is the procession chapter. So you will get idea about it. So, but what you have to remember, if I have a real-time reporting, real-time info queue, then that should get replaced with the procession, streaming procession. It will not the real-time ADSO. Okay, so this we have to understand it. If you have a technical content installed, so I have to ask customer that now technical content is not available in the BW4 in a like a previous one. It has a CDS views. Now it is available as a Fury based thing. So I have to tell the customer. So if you have this, and if you want it in the new system, then I have to do the separate installation. So I have to take care of this separately. Okay, now classic BI content, sorry, this is classic BI content, and this is BW technical content, which I was saying to you that it is core data services as a CDS views, which can be accessed via Fury. Now, this is nearline storage. Nearline NLS, it's famous as a NLS. So you are not storing the data in your online database, but you are going to store the data in the offline database. So it is nearline storage, and that concept in BW4 HANA is the DTO concept, and I will cover this chapter next week. So this is the chapter assigned to me. I will cover this chapter separately. It is also theoretical. You will not be able to do much hands-on on it, but it's a really good to understand what is cold, what is warm, and what is hot. Okay, then open hub is open hub. Then customer exit C mod is not available in BW4 HANA. For that you have to create a body. But if you are already on 7.5, and then you have the flexibility of using the C mod and the body. If you have already used body, then body will get converted automatically to the body in the B4 HANA. You don't have to work on it. But if you have created the customer exit, then you have to use recreate them in the body. All those customer exit variables, etc. You have to convert them to the body code. Okay, and then the customer coding, that is if you have done any specialized APIs created or custom coding, custom transaction. So when you go to the BW4 HANA, that custom report, Z report, if you have created, you have to check in the B4 HANA. If it is not compatible, you have to adjust your code in the post activity. So this is the transfer tool, which gives you the idea what can be automatically transferred, what we have to recreate it, what we have to partially recreate it, what is available, what is not available, and what is the alternative for it. Any question on this? No question?
We are good.
You have question or you are good?
Sir, we are good.
Okay. So let me open the book. I want, see, ultimately the PPT is for reference, but you are going to read the book. I have completed the lesson number 1. I will show you what I have done. And then in lesson number 2, we will take a 5 minutes break, and then we will cover lesson number 2, and then we will close our today's session. So let me show you what I have covered and how you have to go through it. See, please try to understand. You have learned this concept today. Please revise it today itself. Then only you will be able to get the hold of this concept. Otherwise, after 8 days, this chapter is not going to refer anywhere in the next chapter. So you will forget. And it is difficult to recall all the concepts. So today, please try to read at least once. And as we have done the session today, it is easy for you to read it. So this is describing the conversion strategies and tools. This is, I have explained to you clearly that what are the different options. This is the figure they have given. And on the next page, they have explained what I have explained to you already. So what is the minimum requirement? Then what is the in-place conversion means? What is the target group, etc.? Who can do this? I have asked all questions to you. So you are familiar with this. You just go through it and try to understand it. See, for example, if I have to do the in-place conversion, I don't have to mug up all these things. But what I should understand is whenever I have to do the in-place migration, I have to check all these things. So I will open the conversion guide. I will check thoroughly all these points. So I should know what to check. So if you do not remember all this by heart, that what is the SPS level, if you do not remember, that's okay. But you should understand that I cannot say directly that this system will get converted with the in-place migration. No, I have to check the version. So that you should understand and come back to the guide and check it. Then this is the greenfield implementation I have taken. This is shell conversion and this is the remote conversion. Whatever the points I have mentioned, they have described it here. And this is the landscape transformation. They have given idea if you have multiple one, how you can do it. And this is, we have to do the separate study. Then I have mentioned to you that what is the source for conversion. This is the conversion guide, central note available. We have to consider this central note, and I have already given you the idea about the preparation phase. What is the readiness check, how it gives the details, add-on compatibility, sizing, etc. And this is the transfer cockpit tool. Okay, please run the transfer cockpit tool only in the S4H system, but do not execute anything. This will not get executed. It will give you the either dumb or it will schedule the job, but the job will fail. So just try to understand the option and what is the purpose of it. Okay, and as I mentioned, when I will do it in my current project, I will take the screenshot and show it to you at the end of your training. Okay, then we have seen that what is the execute check, etc. And then this is the older screenshot, so I don't have to consider it. This is the new screenshot, the way it is arranged, and I have explained it before, after, during, etc. What is the options available. So this is the details. This is, they have mentioned that in the T41 systems you can do it, but we don't have the T41 system. We have S4H system, but you can try it out as I shown with the transaction. Okay, then this is the cleanup report which I have shown you, purpose of it, when to use it and when not to use it. This is the note analyzer. Why you don't have to thoroughly mug up all these things. You just have to understand that SAP has given the tool called note analyzer. It will be used by basis colleague. They will run it in the report to understand that how many notes we need to implement to bring the readiness check as well as the transfer cockpit tool. If you know this, that is more than enough. Then this is the tool they have described that these are the documents they will consider it when they consider the note analyzer, but this part is always covered by the basis colleague, not the BW consultant. Okay, then this is the note analyzer. They have mentioned that there is a note analyzer, and to bring the note analyzer, this is the user guide which I have shown you on the help, that there is a user guide and there is a conversion guide also, but this is mostly used by basis colleague. Okay, then I have shown you these these details also, that cubes will get converted to ADSO, DSO will get converted to ADSO, InfoSet or multi-provider will get converted to composite provider. So I have used these screenshots to explain to you. So we have covered this as well, that what will be available. These are pictures are given in the previous slide, and explanation is given in this next page. So this is the explanation. This is the summary, which we have also covered it. So this is the end of the lesson 1. No, so they have given the one more screenshot, which says that if you want to collect it query wise, how you can do it, what option it will ask you. And then this is the lesson summary. So this is the lesson 2, which we are going to start. So in the lesson, so I have taken the screenshots and walked you through. I have made you understand that how it will be. So now when you go today, when you go through all this lesson 1 today, you will be able to at least grasp 50% of it, not all, but you will try to understand what it is, what is conversion means, what is upgrade means, what is migration means. Any question here? Or otherwise we will take 10 minutes break and we will be back for the lesson number 2.
Silpa, like SLT is not mentioned here, so anything special to be done for SLT? It's there in.
Yes, SLT will be used. Some part of SLT will be used in the remote conversion, and that is covered in the lesson number 2.
Okay. And Silpa, if you can drop this, I mean, I'm still not able to download, so if you can drop this in box, it will help.
Okay, I will check and I will keep this in the box because I can see here 549 pages.
Okay.
So I will copy this and I will keep it in the box.
Sure. Thank you.
Could you please, can someone please send link of this this book?
This is SAP Learning. In SAP Learning Hub, if you search by this 462, right? Yeah. SAP
Okay.
BW4 HANA 462.
And version number 19.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
I will check the box link for the training and I will keep this book there, no problem. Okay. So I think we can pause the recording and I will do the stop sharing. I just checked the chat of WebEx and I think Prajakta has asked question related to when to consider shell migration, remote shell conversion. Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, Shilpa, I'm here. Hello. Hello, am I audible?
Okay. Hello. Yes, you are audible. I am able to hear you. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Shilpa.
Hello. Okay.
Yes, Shilpa, I can able.
So, Prajakta. Okay. Prajakta, I have a 7.0 system. Okay. And I want to take all data flows to BW4 HANA. Which conversion I will use?
So you have SAP BW 7.0, right? And then you have to convert to
Correct.
HANA. Okay, let me.
And I want to take all data. I want all data flows to be available in BW4 HANA.
In place.
What prefer option?
In place conversion.
Okay. So, okay, most of the people will think that it will be in place conversion, but as I mentioned to you, don't just consider selective data flow or all data flow. Okay, now assume that my system is on 7.0 and I want all data flows to be available. If I have to do in place, it is a two-step approach. I have to upgrade, I have to do the DB migration, and then I have to convert my system to B4 HANA. So it's a longer process because my system is on the 7.0. If I have to move to 7.5, so for upgrade, DB migration, and conversion, it is going to be a longer period. But if it is a 7.0, I can do shell migration more efficiently, because in shell migration also all data can be all data flows can be considered and moved to the BW4 HANA. It's a 7.0, so I cannot do remote conversion. I have to go either go for in-place migration or shell conversion. In-place conversion or shell conversion. In place is has a more cost involved in terms of time and in terms of upgrade, all things. I will prefer, in this case, I will prefer shell conversion. See, this expertise you will get, you will start working on this area. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So don't just consider that whether I want all data flow or I want only few data flows. No, there are 3 or 4 factors you have to consider. Is your customer wants to have a parallel system? If yes, then in-place migration is not at all an option. Then you have to think about remote and shell conversion. Is your customer is a really lower version, that is 7.0, and you can then in-place is more it will require more time and more cost. So in-place is also suggested. But all the factors we have to consider while giving the solution to the client. But this expertise will come when you will work on at least 3-4 projects of conversions. Okay. So let me share my screen for the next lesson. Next PPT. This is a shorter one. So I think someone was able to download the book. I have not read the chat completely, but please keep that book on the box folder in your training folder so that other colleagues can also access the same. Okay. Now let's try to understand the conversion part more in the depth. Okay. Now let's consider the in-place conversion. In in-place conversion, I have explained it already, but let's consider in this way. Now you have the SAP BW system. Okay. Now you have a SAP BW system which is on the NEDB and which may have the BW accelerator or which may not have a BW accelerator. So I'm not sure whether you are aware of BW accelerator or not, but BW accelerator is used for the faster reporting. It is the index server, which is the T-Rex server, in which you can store the readable data in index format so that the reports can access it in a faster way. So before the development of HANA, SAP has developed the BW accelerator. But as we are going to have a HANA, BW accelerator is obsolete. So if your customer has BW accelerator in older system and that customer wants to move to B4 HANA, you have to tell the customer that this is the BW accelerator, this is the tool which is completely obsolete and which will not be used in future now, because we are moving to the B4 HANA and HANA has already all that functionality. So we do not need separate tool for the reporting, saving the data as an index level. Okay. Now we have the SAP BW system. It is on the NEDB and you are using the in-place conversion. See, I am not right now telling you the best option and etc. I am just telling out the steps involved in the in-place conversion. So this is BW system. I have to migrate it. Okay, migrate it to the here it is mentioned it is 7.3 plus, and I have to I have to upgrade it to the 7.3 plus, and you can do the NEDB to HANA. Okay, now they have this option that is the 7.3, because currently 7.0 is not under maintenance. Now we have a 7.3. So first you have to upgrade it. you have to do the DB migration. Then again, 7.3 is not enough. In the 7.3, you have to go to the 7.5 and maximum SPS level. See, SAP suggests that 5 is okay, 5 is required, 12 is recommended, and the best is the latest one. So always we don't have to think about the required. We always have to think about what is SAP is recommending. So for example, it recommends 7.5, SPS level 12 as the recommended option for the in place. So we have to consider the in place if you are on the SPS level 12. And then we have the starter add-on. They have shown this middle step because 7.0 is not available, or if it is a 3.5 system. Also, it is cannot convert it to directly 7.5. So we have to take a middle option of 7.3, and then we have to move to the 7.5. So sometimes upgrade. So it is a upgrade option. So whatever the current version, will it get converted directly to the 7.5? Then good. It's a one step. But if it's on the 3.5, then it cannot get converted to the 7.5. So we have to consider two upgrades then. 3.5 will go to the 7.3, and then 7.3 will go to the 7.5. So it depends on that. So they have shown the option that sometimes you have to check all these things and then decide what to do. Now upgrade and migration. Now already you are on a HANA. Still they have shown upgrade question mark. Suppose you are on a 7.3 and HANA, but HANA version is really low. It is not the latest. So sometimes we have to suggest the customer that you are on a HANA, but you are on a 1.0 or a 2.0, but not on the latest SPS level. So if you want to use the HANA functionality also in the BW4 HANA, then you have to upgrade HANA as well. So here, see, please try to understand the words. Here, HANA is already there, and I'm upgrading the HANA. So for example, here I have a HANA 1.0, then I will upgrade it to the 2.0 SPS level 5, which is the currently very good SPS level. But here, when I say DB, any DB, say Oracle, and then I have to go to the HANA, then it will be migration, DB migration. Now you have on the 7.5 SPS level, which is the recommended SPS level, you have HANA, and then you have the started add-on. Again, in the next slide, I'm going to explain the started add-on stuff here, that what are the compatibility. Then once you have done all these things, Basis Colleague will convert your system to the B4 HANA system. Now, if you see the below part, it is not complete, but it says what are the new options available. We have the SAP_BW. We have a BI content, but these are not directly available as it is in the B4 HANA. So this names got changed. SAP_BW. Now it becomes DW4 core. BI content, it is BW4 content or BW4 content B. Okay, started add-on is present in the older system. It is not required in the new system. So this is not a complete list, but it is an important list which as a BW consultant we should know at least these two components. Okay, BI content component and SAP BW component. So these will get converted to the BW4 core and BW4 content. So why why they have not used older one? Because this is also on the NetWear, this is also on the NetWear. So why they have not? So as you know that this system 7.5 system is developed to use for the any database. It can be HANA also, it can be Oracle also, it can be DB2 also. So it is useful for any database. So whatever the is written here, it is as per useful for any database. Now, okay, now BW4 HANA, it is exclusively written for HANA. So suppose we have 1,000 line code here, it got reduced to 400 lines only. Because now whatever the BW4 HANA is developed, it is developed only for HANA by considering only HANA. So the code is reduced. So that is why they say that it is not a successor, direct successor. BW4 HANA is not a direct successor of 7.5. It is logical successor. Okay, so in this way, you can see that in place conversion is very good option when you are on a 7.5 SPS level latest one and HANA as a database. Then it is just a one-step option. It is just a one-step option and not time consuming. In that case, we can suggest the customer that we can go for in-place conversion. In that case, customer will not get parallel run, but customer doesn't have to run two systems parallelly, so the customer's cost will be saved. So there are pros and cons to decide. Customer says that okay, for 4-5 months I can bear the cost of both the systems, then I can and you can run the parallel system, then I will go either for shell or remote. Then in that case I will not consider in place. So it depends on cost and everything, that what the client want. Any question in this? It's a repetition, but that is the lesson number 2. So no questions, then I will move to the next. So transfer cockpit. Transfer cockpit behaves slightly different way. Okay, so you will be able to see for transfer cockpit, if you choose in place conversion, it will show different option. If you choose shell conversion and remote conversion, for shell and remote it is almost same. But for in place and other two, there is a difference. As I mentioned in the next slide, I was going to explain the BW modes, that is the starter add-on. It is an add-on. Okay, so all of you know the concept of add-on. This is the component which we basis is going to install, which is the starter add-on component, which has the different modes. There are 4 types of modes. Okay, now currently I am on a 7.5 and on HANA, and I have a starter add-on installed. Okay, starter add-on is already installed and my mode is BW mode. See here, starter add-on mode is BW mode. Suppose I have a BW mode. Then BW mode means no restrictions. You can create the older objects as well. Say for example, though I am on a 7.5, though I am on a HANA, I can still create InfoCube. I can still create InfoCube because my mode is BW mode and no restrictions. Okay. Now consider the next compatibility mode. So next is the compatibility mode. So what will happen? Okay. InfoCube will work. You can perform the data load in the InfoCube. But if a client comes to you and say that in this InfoCube, I required new characteristics, then if your mode is compatibility mode, you will not be able to change the InfoCube. So existing one cannot be changed and new cannot also create it. So I cannot modify my InfoCube. I cannot create a new InfoCube in compatibility mode. So what I have to do, because client has given me the task that I need in this report, I need this characteristic. So if you are in the compatibility mode, then you have to convert that InfoCube to ADSO and then add the characteristic, and you have to move the queries of InfoCube to queries of ADSO. So that is called compatibility mode. So we switch to the compatibility mode only when we have decided that I am not going to create older objects, and if I have to modify the older object, I'm going to convert them to the new object, then only I can switch on this mode. Otherwise, you cannot switch on this mode. Any question up to here?
And this is applicable only for inline conversion.
In place conversion, yes,
In
because
place, sorry.
in place, in shell conversion, remote conversion, we don't need this add-on.
Yeah.
I will explain the purpose of it, my overall purpose also, after explaining all these modes. Okay. Now, next mode is B4H mode. Okay. Now, B4H mode means in place conversion, I have used transfer cockpit tool and I have converted my InfoCube to ADSO. I have converted 3.xflows to 7.xflows also. So when all my objects are compatible with BW4 HANA, then I can switch on this mode, B4H mode. Because what is the B4H mode? This means no classic objects are present in your system. So no InfoCube will be there, no DSO will be there, no InfoSpoke will be there, CMod will not be there, 3.x queries will not be there. When you have converted all the things, then you will use B4H mode. Okay. And the last mode is ready for conversion mode. Okay. See, in B4H mode also, data load is happening, everything is happening. You are not changing anything right now. So B4H mode, no classic objects are there. All objects are new types of object. You can modify the new type of object. There are no older objects as well. And now ready for conversion mode. Okay. So the preparation for conversion is all successfully completed. All the in-place tasks are done. Okay. Then you want to hand over the system to basis. All the BW work is done. So you just want to hand over the system to basis colleague. At that time, we have to choose this mode so that basis colleague can run the sum and convert the system from SAP NetWare 7.5 to BW4 HANA system. Any question in these four modes? You have to just understand what are these four modes and what you can do in that modes.
So what is this run pre-checks button?
Where is a run pre-check? Okay, this one, right?
Yeah.
Now suppose here it is a compatibility mode, right? What is chosen? What is considered here? Compatibility mode. Now, what is the meaning of compatibility mode? Compatibility mode means older objects will be there, and the new you cannot modify the new object. But you want to check whether my system is in the compatible mode. I can do it or not. So that for that you have to run this pre-checks. So it will give you the idea. So in your system, these are the InfoCubes, these are the DSOs, these are the 3.x flows, these are the InfoSpokes presents which you cannot modify once you enable this. So it is giving you warning message. If you want to delete something, it will pop up a message, right? That you are deleting something. So similarly, you have to run this. You have to run this to understand, to study yourself that these are the objects present in the system which I cannot modify. So that is why this is called pre-check. And once you execute the mode, then you will never be able to change the InfoCube. Okay, that mode is on now. So to give you warning that please go through the list again to understand that which objects I cannot change. Are you confirm that if I can, I don't require to change this object, then only you click on the execute button. Is explanation okay?
So when you execute new mode, the compatible mode will come down to BW4H mode. Then right?
No, whatever. See, if I say, if I right now it is compatibility mode. So if I click on execute, compatibility mode will be on.
Okay.
Right now it is BW mode. That is why this is disabled, right? Currently
Okay.
it is BW mode. So
Okay.
I want to change it to the compatibility mode. Now, when you want to move it to the B4H mode, these two will be disabled.
Okay.
Only B4H will be available.
Okay.
Any question? No question? Okay.
So we can execute this in our system just to check. We'll not execute anything, but this we can.
But I'm not sure this see now think from see every time you have to think.
Yeah.
I have shown you diagram.
Yeah.
Is BW4 HANA starter add-on available in BW4 HANA system?
No, so
Is it?
in our system, I mean, we are in 7.5 and we have BW starter add-on is there. So
In your project. Okay, starter
yeah,
add-on is there. You can
yeah.
check it out, but I'm not sure. In your system, there may not be the transfer cockpit. You can check the add-on and
Okay,
it's in which version it is.
okay, okay.
Okay. Now, I'm giving you the overall idea from the customer perspective. Okay, for this add-on. Okay. Now, say for example, I have done one project. Okay. In that project, customer was already on 7.5. Okay. And we had a project of DB migration. So we did from Oracle to HANA. Now, they do not want to go to BW4 HANA immediately because they have already invested in the HANA database because they have the latest SPS, latest feature pack. So customer said that, okay, I'm able to use the HANA functionality. I don't want to go to BW4 HANA for next 4 years. Okay. Then customer has choice whether they want B4 HANA add-on to be there or not. So suppose in my project, customer said that, okay, we want starter add-on. Okay. Then whenever customer says that we want starter add-on, we will ask him, do you want in the BW mode or do you want in the compatibility mode? Okay. Now in client system, 10 consultant are working. How the client will make sure that consultant will not create older type of object? He will not create multi-provider. Always he will create composite provider. How the client will make sure? So if client wants that consultant should not do any mistake to create an older object, client will say that as soon as you install this, change it to the compatibility mode. Then whenever the customer will have a request to create a target, he will create ADSO, not InfoCube. So that is the advantage. So that henceforth, whatever next 4 years, whatever the development will be done, that development is compatible with BW4 HANA, and my pre-activity of BW4 HANA will get reduced. My path to BW4 HANA will be more easy if customer go to the compatibility mode. But this is advantage. What is a disadvantage? As I said, customer comes back and say to you that in this InfoCube, I want a characteristic. Then you cannot modify InfoCube. You have to convert that InfoCube first to ADSO and then add it and then give it to the customer to use it further. So though it is a slight work, but you are performing the pre-activity of B4 HANA, so that is the better way. So sometimes customer says that we want into the compatibility mode. Otherwise, some customers just install it and they keep it as a BW mode. So it is as good as whether you have installed it or not install it. It doesn't make any difference because BW mode means no restriction. Okay, have you understood why we need this starter add-on? Why the client has introduced this starter add-on?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, now let me move to the next slide. Okay, as I mentioned, transfer cockpit. For in-place conversion, the task will be different. Okay, currently you don't have to understand all the tasks. You just have to understand that for in-place conversion, the task list to execution is different. So for example, this is transfer cockpit, execute the scope transfer. When I click on that, it will ask me in place remote including data or remote metadata only, means without data. Third option is a shell conversion. Okay, so it is in place. Now, as soon as I do in place, it will give me the task list which I have to follow. What it says, collect the scope of transfer. So data flow, whatever data flow we want to consider in if we want to consider all, it's okay. If we do not want to consider 3, 4, you have to delete it. Okay, so accordingly, you can do the scope transfer. You have to convert the objects. You can see all these steps. Map the info object for the info provider, because sometimes if you have an info set, then info set will get converted to the composite provider. Its naming convention is different. So we have to do the mapping of info objects as well. Okay, now checklist, etc. So all these steps you have to do and come here. See, delete unsupported objects. So these are the preparation phase. So all these you have to perform it. Okay, and then further steps will come: delta queue clearing, synchronization of delta because you're doing in place migration, etc. And then preparation for the old info providers, and then lock all the data changes. So here the downtime will start. Okay, and you will transfer the metadata, etc. And then say BW will convert the system to the B4 HANA. So this is the task list. SAP, instead of looking at the PDF file and doing thing, SAP has created this automated task list, and we have to execute this task list. While executing this task list, we are going to get errors. So as a BW consultant, you have to solve them. But before running this, pre-checks are required, because if you do pre-checks thoroughly, if you solve all the issues of pre-checks thoroughly, there are only 1 or 2% chances that you will get an issue here. Otherwise, everything will be smooth. In conversion, in upgrade, in migration, if you follow all the steps mentioned by SAP, then it will be less work for you after conversion. Okay, let me tell you. With an experience, I did the first upgrade project and I got few errors, 10% errors, etc., which I have solved as a defect. But then I understood it. I checked it, what I have missed it, etc. Then next time, thoroughly, I have gone through the upgrade guide. Each and every sentence I have tried to understand it, and I have not missed any point from that. Let me tell you, next to upgrade projects, I did it with the 0 defect. Hypercare was very smooth. So the work you do before properly, it will be easy for you afterwards. That's simple. So if the SAP has given this, do it thoroughly. Don't ignore anything, because few things comes as a warning. So suppose, for example, SAP will say that this query aggregation is not compatible. It's a before, you have to do after, something like this it will say, but it's a warning. It will not throw error. But if you handle this warning after migration, after upgrade, or after conversion, that query will work fine. But if you avoid this warning, if you do not understand that warning, then it might be possible that after conversion, after upgrade, that query will give wrong results. So don't ignore any warning, don't ignore any error, do it thoroughly, your life will be smooth. That is the in-place migration. When we do it, we have to follow these steps, and then it will be handed over to basically. Any questions?
Yes, Silpa, suppose you started this in place conversion, okay, and by mistake, I mean, some issue happens. Is there a way to revert back?
Revert back for that object
No, I
for the
mean,
completely?
yeah, completely.
Completely not possible.
So, what are the options? I mean, in real time, how do we do it? I mean,
Say, for example, whenever you are doing the in-place conversion, first you are not going to do it in the production, right?
yeah, it would be in
You
sandbox.
will do it in the sandbox system.
Mm, mm.
Okay, so in sandbox system, you will get the errors. You will try to resolve it. Okay, now suppose you have converted one info cube to ADSO, and you are converting now second info cube to ADSO, and you got the errors. Unless you solve the errors, you cannot go
Proceed
further.
to, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You have to solve that. So what normally happens is, whatever the 10 errors I have received in the sandbox system, whatever the solution I have given for that 10 errors, either in development system I will do this beforehand, or whenever this error will come, I will implement this and then I will go further. So normally whenever we do the sandbox system, it is a copy of production. So we can replicate the issues of production.
Yeah,
So
and
that
better
is
to
why,
yeah.
yes, better to resolve it. And normally whenever do the conversion, it will be sandbox. development, quality, one mock session, and then production. Why the mock is taken there? Because when I start my development system, so when I start my sandbox system, when I come to when I finish my quality system, already 4 months are over, and there are few new TRs which has gone to production, which I have not tested, right? So that is why there is one mock also, which is a technical mock. It will not be checked functionally, but whatever the current situation of production, I will be able to replicate it into the mock, so that during the production, there are really very less chances, less than 1%, I will get the issues. So that is the way it is done well in IBM. Okay, which again, see, it's when I say IBM has the process, but now it is consultant responsibility whether they are following or not. If the consultant are not following, you are going to get the errors. If you follow them, then your project will be successful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there any other where you drop the data and reload?
In in-place conversion?
Mm-hmm.
No, in in-place conversion, that option is not there. But in shell conversion, in remote conversion, you can drop the data and reload again. There is no option. There is no problem.
I'm asking like for in-place conversion where are there any scenarios you're asked to
See,
drop the data?
there in in-place conversion, why you want, see, you have a InfoCube. You're converting InfoCube to ADSO. The data will also data will be always there, right? You are just converting the object. So there will not be a question of dropping it and uploading again. This is not a separate activity you have to do.
Okay.
Because see, otherwise you have to explain me what do you want to say. You have to explain me the scenario. Because in place, that object itself is getting converted. So data is also going to go in the new tables. This is going to happen automatically. You don't have to do anything.
And for in-place conversion, are there any data volume restrictions?
There are no restrictions, but say for example, let me explain. So in-place conversion, if I have an InfoCube which has 500 GB data, okay, then whenever it is getting converted to the ADSO, it is going to take 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, etc. because of the data volume, right? But in shell conversion, suppose I have a shell conversion, I have moved the metadata, I have a 500 GB, I have a liberty that I will load only first year data first, then second year. I can bifurcate myself to optimize the data load timing and my optimization. So these are plus and minus. In plus, you don't have the option to optimize the timing. Whatever the time it will take, either you can just increase the background processes, but you cannot do anything else by yourself. But in shell conversion, you have variety of ideas which will help you to reduce the data load timing.
Okay. Okay.
And
Any other question?
Yes, Silpa. So suppose we have NLS and we have data stored in say Sybase. Okay, so all our cold data is stored there. Warm data, hot data is only in say current system. Okay, and when we are doing in place, I mean, is there any special steps that needs to be taken, or by
Yes.
default it will point? Yeah.
In place, we have to do the few steps. It's but not from the BW perspective. It is from the basis perspective. That connections and RFC connections to the NLS basis colleagues has to take care of it.
Okay. So
And
I mean,
if it is shell conversion or remote conversion, they have to separately create the connections to attach it to the new system.
okay. So I mean, from I mean, only change would be from connection perspective. Data will stay in the, say if you are using Sybase, it will stay there as is.
Yes.
Right. Okay. No.
Yeah, but it
Change.
depends. Say for example, it depends. Now, I just have to cross verify. But I think Sybase is valid for BW4 HANA. Okay. But if you are using the NLS of DB2, then DB2 NLS is not valid for BW4 HANA.
No. So in 7.5 also we are using Sybase.
So Sybase is valid.
Okay.
IQ. Sybase,
So
I think Sybase IQ and Hadoop. These are the two options for the NLS in BW4 HANA.
okay. So I mean, DTO will replace NLS, but only connection change. I mean, setting will change only, right? Otherwise, database would remain same. Right?
Yes, database will be remain same, but again, mm, I have to cross verify. I have to check the SAP note
Okay.
corresponding it.
Okay.
Okay, because
Yeah.
see, at least I have worked on DTO, but I have worked on warm storage, but I have not worked on cold storage in BW4 HANA conversion. I have
Okay.
not yet received any project. So if I receive that project, it's a simple thing. It's a simple thing. I have to refer a conversion guide. In conversion guide, there is an option for NLS. It will tell the SAP note. I have to go to the SAP note and thoroughly follow the SAP note.
Okay. Yeah.
And
So
if
like we are using say ADSO, and we have virtual provider which would get the cold data, and when we query
correct.
data, right? Yeah. So when we
If you
convert,
are using ADSO, there will not be a problem. If you are using ADSO, you just have to change the virtual provider. But if you are using the InfoQ,
Mhm.
okay, in NLS, what will be the exact structure of that? I have to check and then come back to you because I have not worked on that area. I don't want to give a wrong answer.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Any other question, or I can move to next? Okay, so let's go to the remote conversion. Simple things. Here, SLT will come into picture because we are moving the data. Okay. Now, first of all, I'm not sure about how much you are familiar with the SLT. Okay, SLT is the SAP landscape transformation. It is a server. Okay, but that server is available as a single server also, as a separate entity, and that can be available as an add-on as well. Now, whenever you are doing the remote conversion, this SLT as an add-on is required. So if you see here, this is the existing system. In this, we will have the SLT as an add-on, and in the new system also, we will have a SLT on add-on. And SLT on add-on, that add-on purpose is only for conversion purpose. So this will help to move the data from here to here. After that, you don't have to consider it. But if your system is using SLT, okay, if your system is using SLT as a different source system, then you have ODP connectivity, you have to consider it as a separate source system. Are you getting two differences? See, in remote conversion, SLT as an add-on is required thing to move the data. But if you are using SLT as a source system, it is different. Okay, then you have a separate SLT server, which say for example, if you have a non-SAP system is giving the data to your SLT server, and then SLT will give the data to either native HANA, or it will give the data to BW4 HANA. Okay. Any questions on SLT?
So if we have SLT which is giving data to native HANA and BW, so when while converting, I mean, it will remain as is, or there also some conversion will happen.
No, if it's a SLT and it is already giving it to the native HANA, it will similarly give the to the BW4 HANA native HANA.
Okay, the same data sources can be used, SLT data sources.
Yes, you can use it.
So I mean, we are not replacing it with ODP, right? Or sorry, ODP, yeah.
Connectivity will change. The source system type will change, but you can use it.
Okay.
See, in BW4 HANA as a source system, it will change. But if you are using any in HANA, then there will not be any change. See, in BW4 HANA, you can use the system as a BW4 HANA, and you can use the same say a database with a different schema as a native HANA. So if you are using it in the native HANA, there will not be any change. Same, whatever you are doing there, same will be available here. Okay. Now, so first requirement in remote
So
conversion.
one question. So when your SLT is doing, right, I know about SLT using classic HANA, like any SAP system. Where we
Your
just
voice is
copy
breaking. Can you repeat again?
when you say SLT, right? In native HANA systems, it is used mostly for copying the table data.
Correct.
Right? So if you are migrating in this one, right, is it going to be a table level data map data transfer, or is it going to just copy the data from one data source? Is it like a BW data load, or
Okay,
is
let
it
me
like
explain.
just copy of
Let
table?
me explain. Let me explain. This is your SAP BW system, right? Okay, and it is on HANA, right?
Yep.
And that is why via SLT you are getting the data to native HANA, right?
Yes.
Now assume that whatever the native HANA you are using, the similar native HANA you can use it here. So same SLT you can attach it here. So if you're copying a Mara table via SLT to native HANA, the same can be done here.
Okay.
Okay, there will not be any change because you are dealing with native HANA. You are not dealing with BW4 HANA.
Okay. Now, in this scenario, right, if I'm migrating a cube to a ADSO, how that the data transfer would happen? Like, is it going to be F table just copied to active table, and E table being E table copied to active table, F table being copied to your
Inbound table.
inbound table? Is it going to be like that, or is it going to be
Yes.
just new data load that triggers from the cube to ADSO?
No. See, here you have an info cube, right? F data will get transferred here to the inbound table. E data will get transferred to the active table. But in remote conversion, this object will get transferred. Along with that, the data will also get transferred.
Okay. So
See,
it's
here
going to
the okay. Let's try to understand first. For example, you have selected info cube, so you have done the scope selection. What will happen? Transfer tool will transport that selected object to the new system. When that transport will happen, automatically, before that transport is successful, it will convert that classical object to the ADSO.
Yes.
Okay, that is a step number 3. And immediately, step number 4 will happen. Once that object is converted, now it will transfer the data. While transferring it, F table will go to inbound table, E table will go to the active table. Simple.
Okay.
But
Not like
this is going to happen synchronized way.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, and then only it will stop.
Okay. And it's not going to be like a regular BW data load.
No, it will not. Because internally it is working differently. See, internally it is going to use DMIS, which is the SLT add-on. Here it is also going to use the DMIS, and it is going to form the cluster tables. I have shown in the diagram.
Okay.
Okay. As I mentioned, remote conversion is possible only when 7.3 or SP10 above. That we have to check always in the conversion guide. What is the latest SPS level, etc. will be available. Please note that in remote conversion, you are moving the object with data. That is why technical name cannot be changed. But in shell conversion, if you have an InfoCube name as an InfoCube 1, you can change it to the InfoCube 2 as well. You have that flexibility because you are moving just the objects. Okay. Okay. Now, remote conversion functionality is a part of a SAP landscape transformation, which is nothing but here add-on. See, whenever you are doing this conversion, the license include only the component usage, not the separate server. So as soon as remote conversion purpose is solved, this you cannot use, this add-on you will not be able to use as an SLT. That is only for this purpose. Any question?
We are good here.
Okay, great. Next. As I mentioned, it is not a simple data load. Okay, you have these many objects. and these are getting converted to the different types of ADSOs. So characteristics will be characteristic, but say for classic DSO, it will be ADSO. InfoCube, it is ADSO. So if you see here, when you transfer the object while transferring the data, okay, when you transfer the object here, the cluster tables get formed which stores the data. And these cluster tables will communicate with these cluster tables to transfer the data. As soon as this transfer is done, this cluster table will go away. And the data will go and sit here in the one table or two active table or the inbound table or etc. It will be fetched from F and E, store it into the cluster table. Like say, suppose for example, when you are fetching the data from ECC to BW, TRFs is get created, right? Similarly, you can assume that similarly, it is not exact, it's a similarly that whatever the data you have it F and E table, it will get formed into the cluster tables, and then cluster tables will get moved to here cluster tables, and then again these cluster tables will store the data in the as per type setting in inbound table or active table or in change log table. What it any question? So this is not a simple data load, as you can see. See here, the last line is clearly mentioned. Once completed, data stored in the cluster table is copied, moved to the target system via the RFC connection. So this is the RFC connection which is developed between these two systems. If no questions, I will move further. As I mentioned to you, that the transfer cockpit will behave slightly different way. So whenever you do this, okay, execute the scope transfer, you will get a remote conversion, and then in remote conversion, whenever you do the object wise, you will get a different option, because we have to do it with the different way, because here the objects will get transferred with the data. Okay, so all these options we have to thoroughly check while doing it. So remote conversion this is, and then shell conversion. So as I mentioned, in the shell conversion, in the remote conversion, we have the 1, 2, 3 steps, which is same as shell and remote will have the same concept. But fourth one, this fourth one in the remote conversion, it will happen immediately. In the fourth one, it is on in your hand. If you want to load the data after 10 days, after 15 days, if you don't want to load the data from the existing BW system, you don't require it. You can bring it from the source system as you wish. So this fourth step is not mandatory here. So shell conversion, transfer the objects without data. Okay, and you can load the historical data from existing BW system or source system. Normally, practically, historical data is loaded from existing BW system. We create the processions to perform the historical data load, and if the data is really small in quantity, then we can bring it from the source as well without any problem. Okay, here as I mentioned, new technical names are possible for DSO, InfoCube, multi-provider. So here you have the flexibility to change your naming convention as well. And you are reloading the data from existing BW system or the source system. Accordingly, the processions are developed and mapping is done. So there is no problem in the data load. And this conversion is possible 7.0 onwards. Now, when you do the remote shell conversion, whenever you select this task list will get executed. Say, for example, collect your scope. Whenever you collect your scope, you have done the pre-check properly so that you will not get any error here. It will get executed thoroughly. Then mapping will happen. If any manual mapping is required, it will pop up and you will be able to do it. And if you don't want to do any partitioning, you can do it the partitioning. Say, for example, in older InfoCube, there is no partitioning, but while transferring the data to the new one, you want a partitioning. That is possible. You can do it here. Okay, because we are moving here just the objects, not the data. So you can do this. Okay, and determine the usage of involved objects is really important. Let me tell you that why it is important. Say for example, you have DSO, and that DSO you have used in any other transformation, in a different transformation, in a start routine, you have used this DSO in a ABAP start routine, ABAP code that fetch the data from this DSO and understand and map it, etc. If you have done such a things, then you will get to know here. That means once you transfer it in the post activity, you have to change the start routine, because now here DSO table names are different from ADSO table name. I have shown you that ending is 1, 2, 3. Previously it is different. So you have to change the table name. In my last project, in start routine, the client has used these particular tables to get the data. Sometimes for the info object or DSO. So we have to change that code and we have to find out the corresponding table. And normally in BW4 HANA, they do not use direct table. For every table, there is a compatible view. That view is used to get the data. So that type of changes are required to do the cell conversion. And now, how do you decide which conversion to use? The simple thing, as I mentioned, there are many points to consider. So if your system is on 7.5 already, it is powered by HANA already, then normally in place or remote is used. A remote or shell conversion is also used, but preference is given to the in place conversion. Okay, if you are on a 7.3 and 7.4, for in place conversion, it is just plus plus. So it is not likely. It's a recommended. It's highly recommended. They have been differentiated like this. So 2 plus sign is recommended. 3 plus sign is highly recommended. And plus 1 other options are available. So in the second one, it's a 7.3 powered by HANA. Then it says that you do anything, it will be on an equal level. You have to decide. Client has to decide whether he wants a parallel system or not. Accordingly, they can decide. Now you have a 7.x on any system, then in place is not at all an option, because it's a, as I mentioned, upgrade, migration, and conversion. 3 steps will be involved. So when you are on a 7.x, either you should use shell conversion or remote conversion. Okay. If you are using the third party tool, if you are not using SAP system right now, then also you can go for greenfield implementation. Then greenfield implementation is the best option. No EDH, then also the greenfield implementation is the best option here. And if there are several BW systems, then you cannot use in place, you cannot use shell conversion. You have to go for system consolidation with the different methodology. So this is the way SAP had just given a suggestion. This is not the exact. There are many factors which will decide which to follow: time, cost, and what do you want as a parallel system option or no, etc. Do you want to disturb your existing landscape or not? It depends on all these factors you have to consider before you decide whether it will be in place, shell, or remote. Any question on this?
So, Silpa, suppose we are somebody is in 7.4, so you said like both the path are recommended. So, I mean, is it advisable to move to 7.5 and then move to in place, or?
Okay, let me tell you. Practically, let me tell you. If you are on a 7.4, okay, and you are already on HANA, then you just have to do upgrade. You don't need DB migration, right?
Correct.
Then in place will be suggested. But your customer says that I do not want to disturb my landscape, I need a parallel system. Then in place is the option for you or no?
No.
No. Then you have to go for remote or shell.
Okay.
It depends on what. See, there are 4-5 questions. What do you want? If you need a parallel system, in place is the never option.
Okay.
Okay. Like this, you have to bifurcate. Let me go to the last one. This is the last slide for me. Which are the key points? Once SAP BW4 HANA is a logical successor for SAP NetWare BW. It's a logical successor. It is not an exact successor. Second, BW4 HANA has a ABAP stack. It does not, ABAP, it's a own ABAP stack. It is not a part of the SAP NetWeaver anymore. Previously, ABAP stack is the part of the SAP NetWeaver, but now it is not. It's a separate own stack. Now, as I mentioned to you, why the BEX tools are not available? Because in BW4 HANA, there is no Java stack. As we do not have Java stack, there will be no support for BEX tools in future after the end of 2022. Because customer, why SAP will invest in the older tools? It will not invest in the older tools because as soon as you move the HANA database, you have to go to the Eclipse. And as soon as you go to the B4 HANA, you have to go to the Eclipse to use the tool. So BEX improvement or a support will be no more available after 2022. I'm not sure after COVID whether they have increased this end maintenance date, but it was there. Okay, so development will not be there. See, new add-on for BI content, BPC and BCS, etc. So these all will not be in the existing system, all will be available for BW4 HANA. So indirectly, SAP is suggesting that you should go to the BW4 HANA after some days. So that is why they have stopped developing BW, which is on any database. Okay, so have you seen? See, after 7.5, 7.5 is in the market since 3-4 years. Not 3-4, more than that. I think it is for 4-5 years. 7.5 is there, but after 7.5, there are no much improvements because see, SAP has developed 7.6, but if you want to move to B4 HANA, SAP suggests that you should not go to 7.6. You have to stay the 7.5 only, and there is no 7.7. So previously SAP used to do every year or every 2 years, etc. But now in an older system, no new developments. All the new developments are happening for BW for HANA or for HANA on HANA. Any questions?
So Silpa, like in BEX, we were using this Excel sheets, right? So analysis for Office also has the same Excel sheet concept only, right?
See, BEX Analyzer is an Excel add-in, correct?
Mhm. Yeah.
Similarly, Analysis Office is also Excel add-in.
But analysis for Office is compatible with BW for HANA, right?
Yes, it is compatible.
So it's just like renaming only, right? Otherwise, it is the same thing.
It's not renaming because if it is renaming, then SAP can convert a workbook to Analysis Office. But there is no tool which will convert the workbooks to Analysis Office directly.
Okay. Okay.
That is why. And I think the major part is here, Java is used and there Java is not used. That is why option is not available.
Okay.
Option is not easy.
Okay. And for broadcasting, you were saying like now we can use SAC or publication or uh, business object something, right? So even SAC is taking over business objects also, right?
No, SSC has the different functionality to scheduling the report. Either you can use that or you can use business object. But see, BEX broadcasting is a part of BW, but
Yeah.
BEX broadcasting is not a part of BW for HANA. Broadcasting is not a part of BW for HANA. It is now moved to the front end tool directly, and it will use either SSC or BO.
Okay.
Any other question? If you do not have question, I hope whatever I have explained, it has reached to you. If you have any questions, you can come back to me anytime. Next week also, I have one more session with you. So I hope you have enjoyed the session and tried to grasp the things because these are not
Yeah,
simple
Shilpa.
topics.
So initially you said it is just theory session, right? So we thought it wouldn't be boring, but it was never. I mean, it was very interactive and yeah, it was nice session.
Yeah, it's why I said theoretically, because you like if you are in the ADSO session, you can go and try to create the ADSO, but in
Yeah.
conversion you have to learn.
Yeah.
You cannot go and do the conversion activity in the system
Yeah.
right now. That
Yeah.
is why I said theoretical.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so I will stop the recording, and you have 10 more minutes to enjoy, and let's meet next week.